Welcome back, everybody. If you haven't had enough SMITE, I've got good news for you. We got one more set to go. Aggro joined by Kabam now on the desk. But first, a read. I forgot already, even though we talked about it 5 seconds ago. It's 8 o'clock in the evening. HighResExpo.com is the place to go. If you were waiting for SK exclusively to punch their ticket, now's the time. Go, go, go. You can get your ticket at HighResExpo.com. We'll see you there. And you'll see Zatman there as well. Okay, and you'll see Kabam there because Splice has already qualified.
It's true.
Kabam, when we asked you to come in and do the desk,
right,
I feel like we should have disclosed that there was a chance that we had a 4-hour set as set number 3.
Yeah, I mean, historically, my life RNG outside of being born, which is lucky, has been typically bad. So I came into this set knowing, well ahead of time that I was going to be here probably until 10.
So you're telling me that you should have warned us?
Yeah, most likely.
Okay. Well, now I hate you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
SK Gaming punched their ticket to the SMITE World Championship. They win the winners finals and move on to the grand finals. They will await the winner of Simplicity, who awaits the winner of Sanguine and Luminosity, which is what we're going to do right here, right now. And you heard Neoma say it on the desk there that Luminosity has not looked up to snuff. And I feel like if I'm Sanguine, I agree with that assessment, and I'm looking forward at my chances. I think that Sanguine has a real shot here today.
Yeah, I think Sanguine is incredibly impressive given the fact that they're playing with a sub. Haddix is obviously no slouch. He's been playing game forever as the rest of these players. I think we actually had the opportunity to scrim them. They were really impressive compared to what we expected going into those scrims.
Sure.
So I feel pretty good about Sanguine actually making it, honestly.
Wow.
You can't sleep on LG, obviously, but I think this has not been their most phenomenal, tournament performance thus far.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, they look just a little bit shaky, but we can get to that in a minute. Let's stay with Sanguine for a little bit longer because this team, yes, Haddix is a sub, and yes, he's filled in and played well, but I think Sanguine's done a really good job of playing around their mid 3v3 a whole lot so far this week. They've been taking as many fights as possible around Sheento and around Panitom in that mid lane, which is a good place to be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've been really diving to, now that you mention it. They've had Ronngyu on the Erlangs, the Jings that are just hopping on the mid laner, and it's like your worst nightmare in your ranked game, right? Like you have 4 people in your throat and you're just like, what am I supposed to do? And everyone's pinging you and telling you it's your fault. Yeah, those are all the things that are happening to the mid laners in this tournament.
Had a flashback there. We're all good. LG, on the other hand, I'm looking at Lasbra, and if he can continue the performance that he had towards the back half of that setup against Space Station, where he looked phenomenal the last few games, not so much before that. So we'll dive into it right away. Is LG in that first pick slot ban the Hell, not against Paul, but against Sheento, another very storied Hell player. And Sanguine immediately start looking at Xalia's selection. Xaliea has been sticking to the same few gods basically all week. It's been Ama, it's been Jorm, and it's been King Arthur. And when he gets not one of those picks, it's looked a little bit rough. Yeah,
and for sure. And I think it's a pretty safe ban too, because I don't think I've seen Haddix pick that character either. He's been the Thors, he's been the Arthurs. I think he's maybe played Tyr.
Cyrus, I think, one game.
Yeah, I think they've kind of established his god pool, and I think that's a really safe ban. It doesn't take anything away from your pool, and it takes away a value pick from them.
In Luminosity, they take away a value pick from Sanguine. You mentioned Haddix's Thor. Panitom can play it as well, and they decide to take it away. Sanguine now looking at Isis Persephone, I think, is the two you obviously have to worry about. Isis in particular against Luminosity. Snoopy solo carried a game against Rival with that Isis pick in the regular season, and I think that's a must ban against LG and Sanguine. Follow up with the regular bans that we see. So now Luminosity in this pick, usually first pick Jorm, but decide to go with the Serqet, want to feed the hot hand for Lasbra potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I think historically when you look at Lasbra's performances across the SPL in this tournament, Serqet is a dominant character for him. The way he likes to do long flanks in which this team starts the fight and he comes in 5-10 seconds later, this character lends itself to being really good for that. She's also really good at finding someone who's struggling behind a carry who doesn't want to go in because she doesn't have actives. Something to that effect. Lasbra can be really effective on this character.
And both Ronngyu and Panitom play it on the other side. It is a flex pick for LG, so Eonic has played a lot of Serqet actually in his time with this team, but I just feel like that's going to be going Lasbra's way. No surprise to see Xaliea go back to that King Arthur. Feel like Snoopy may go with that Kukulkan. I was going to say this, man. I mean, he popped off on this pick. Venenu, you guys started something a little bit with these cuckoo picks.
Yeah, man. It just he likes the noodle, man. Sometimes the picks and bans are just like, I like that character. And it's like, all right, man.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, I guess that's what we're doing. Here we go.
Gotta go along for the ride, but Ven has found a lot of success with it, and Snoopy has as well. And I love this first ban from Sanguine. I was gonna say, I hope they were watching the set earlier, because as soon as Eonic is able to get these heavy setup gods, Erlang and Athena are the two that he played with it before, and I think that's exactly where Sanguine should be going with this next ban, unless they plan on taking it themselves. But as you highlighted, Rongyu's been on these heavier dive characters, and Athena doesn't really feel like that. Maybe they go for it, but I feel like if Luminosity have the option, they're gonna take it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm a little stuck on this Erlang ban because they had pick out, right?
Yeah, they did.
And they really do like this character in both jungle and support. I feel like they took away from their own pool, and it's a character that would have worked well with their dive right now.
Yeah, I agree. Horus is still good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's still pretty solid, but I agree that Erlang would have been an option. If you had Horus in mind, though. But the Morrigan pickup for Joshy, I mean, Joshy's been good on that character. But I feel like the whole draft centers around setting Snoopy up, right? Yeah. And this really helps Lasbra when he gets in there a little bit too deep. Serqet Athena is a classic combo that's really, really hard to deal with. It's so much mobility and lockdown. Sanguine leave it open, and I wonder if they feel like they've got the plan for it. LG matched the global with the Chernobog. I feel like LG came away with a draft that they must be absolutely in love with.
Yeah, this looks like something that, like, we always talk about, like, team's identity. For this tournament especially, this seems like exactly what LG would have wanted. It seems like this is what they've constantly been striving to get to, like, some effect.
Right.
So I think they're feeling really good. Joshy's just going to be safely farming. It's really hard to kill a Chernobog in a reasonable amount of time, so something will always get traded on the map if you go for that, if people are paying attention. I really think that the Athena also lends itself to making it really hard to kill anyone. If Snoopy rotates and he has like a ton of movement speed, he has a long range ability, like it's really hard to be in a safe spot, especially with Serqet chasing you down as well.
Naja's the pickup here for Panitom, and that's one that he has gone to pretty consistently so far this year. This is a pick that is hard to lock down at times, with especially when you get a Shield of Regrowth, but he sets himself up for Kukulkan ult.
Yeah, I think at the same time, though, he offers himself a lot of chances to immune Kukulkan's damage. He also, like, it's really hard for Serqet to start Blink when a Naja is in the game, which can limit the effectiveness of the character, or at least for the early game, which is when you really care about it. I don't love the follow-up that's coming out necessarily from the team, but I think this is just a standalone character to just be disrupted rather than to set up anything else.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Forcing the beads onto Lasbra could be a big difference maker early on in this game. Sanguine, I mean, you want to talk about team identity just like we did with LG. This is Sanguine's identity throughout the regular season, but they have changed it up a little bit. They've got a little bit more pressure in the duo lane, a little bit of Freya for Netrioid. Feel like Sanguine, I don't know if you agree with this, but it feels like they got a little bit too worried about what LG was doing and not enough about what they had on their own side.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I feel like what ended up happening is I just don't like what they ended up with in the jungle. Naja has lots of good applications, like I mentioned, but I feel like it is a standalone character, whereas if you had Erlang in that position, I think you would have had set up and it would have been more relevant towards, you know, your Merlin pick.
But still great beads burners on the side of Sanguine, and we'll probably see some Magi's cloaks come through for Luminosity. Magi's does hurt this team quite a bit because their CC is solid, but it's committal CC, nothing from a distance that pops those Magi's very effectively. I feel like LG came away with a better draft. Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure LG, just because if this Yorm is ever in the mix of things and doesn't get to ult from like a spectator, you know, area, then they're just going to get destroyed, I think. If this Naja doesn't prove to be the most disruptive thing that's ever happened and doesn't get like whomped by this Athena, then maybe they have a shot, but I really think it's rough.
Sheento as well on this Merlin has got to find a way to stay out of this Kukulkan damage, which feels pretty hard these days. And Luminosity's got double globals. Like, how do you get away from it?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to not be worried about Sheento. He seems to, no matter what scenario he finds himself in, he handles himself very well. I think it's the team around him that he needs to probably be worried about.
Luminosity and Sanguine, our final set of the day. Kick it off right here, right now. John Finch, take it away.
Thanks, Aggro. Go take a much-deserved break, my man, as we move into game number 1 between LG and Sanguine. Finch and F. here to bring you the call for the final set of the day. And one SPL team has already made it in the form of SK. Just watch that brutal match they had before this one. LG looking to join them, but their path not going to be easy. Sanguine and Simplicity still stand in their way.
Yeah, I think straight up Luminosity Gaming versus Sanguine. This is an even matchup. Luminosity kind of had the wind behind their sails as the season came to an end. They really made the changes, and this is a team that I think you can't even go back to Chapter 1. You got to go started at phase 2. Lasbra joined this team in the jungle at phase 2. They got Snoopy in phase 2. This is a different unit. And so with that in mind, they've also had half the amount of time to work on it that Sanguine has. But Sanguine has been playing in the minor league with a different level of competition. So there's kind of caveats for both teams as they find themselves here in the postseason.
Look what Snoopy's doing. He hasn't come out of base just yet. He waited on the full Shoes of Focus until after he was able to get quite enough gold. And he might be able to catch Ronngyu off guard here, potentially. No, he's going to go directly towards the mid-wave and leave Lasbra here to fend for himself up against this Horus. Deathbane remains uncontested in terms of confirm, but Rongyu's damage is strong. Lasbra now quite low, but has that extra speed buff mobility and makes it back underneath the tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talking about the 50-50 of going for your speed buff. With Assassin's Blessing, it's not a 50-50, and of course, once you add in the fact that Deathbane is going to hit it 3 times, Lasbra is going to get that 9 times out of 10, which is why I like the fact that Ronngyu focused more on the damage onto the player instead of the camp, knowing that it's really just not in his interest anyway. Serqet's going to get it, so might as well look for the kill. Doesn't happen, but, you know, the idea was there, and I'm here for it.
And hey, if he can slow down Lasbra, maybe get him to back to base, or even just something like popping pots a few, early, or anything at all to throw off his timing, then really Rongyu's time has already been effectively spent. That's the strength of this start, is that even if you go down there and die, 9 times out of 10 you've done enough by pulling everyone away from farming to instead kill you as a support who, in a lot of cases, just not that valuable. Though Panitom, making an early rotation, just drops the ring bounce and leaves.
Yeah, wants to see what's going on here. Wanted to kind of test the waters. Joshy and Lasbra, how active are they going to be? How aggressive are they going to be? But the back camp's available, so he can go farm that. The reason Lasbra's in lane, there's nothing in the jungle for him to hit.
And I did that intro talking a bit about LG wanting to join their SPL counterparts, but LG aren't the protagonists here, man. Both of these teams have plenty of claim to that final spot. Sanguine's stolen a lot of hearts, I feel like, at this tournament, man. They came in without Yarkor yet again. Oxy, who stepped in for them last time, is still here with them. They got Haddix in there instead, and they've just played well. Really good SMITE as a team, backed up by tons of individual performances, and I think everyone's taken notice. This team, not just LATAM, but they've got kind of the international scene's hopes on their backs as well. The last remaining team not from the North Americas or from Europe, and they've really got a chance here to make it. A lot of teams high on this team's chances.
Yeah, we saw the same sort of camaraderie when the console team was really killing it. Unfortunately, Hype Unit's running to an end. But yeah, you're seeing all of the Spanish-speaking community embracing Sanguine, as well as, like you said, kind of anyone that's representing the international scenes. Oshi even giving a little shout-out. They've got some coaches up in the pro leagues.
That's right.
But the
and
whole
Bro's
damn
playing
team,
for him. Yep.
Yeah, look at that. But the whole damn team, I think that's impressive. And that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, these guys are just crushing SMITE.
They really are.
Sheento is impressing anyone that's ever selected a mage before. Ronngyu is the one that has stuck out to me. This guy really kind of understands what his role is for the team.
Yeah, he's played really well. So has Panitom and Netrioid. Both have found their own individual moments. And then Haddix stepping into such a difficult role. I mean, this Sanguine team, if they came with their full roster, expectations were sky high. To try and fill those shoes, you don't want to be the one that feels like maybe you're costing them in some way. Instead, he's come in and performed, I think, above expectation. Not just treading water, but at times being a full-blown win condition for them. This squad's going places, man.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at teams historically that have played with substitutes, it's almost been why even show up. And this is not the case. Sanguine behind the scenes had their solo laner hardcore work with Haddix. They've been 1v1ing, so Haddix could not only just learn how to play with the team, but learn hardcore's style and take a little bit of that inside of what he does, blend that with his own playstyle so the team is better informed.
Lasbra's lurking here in the jungle. He did elect to go with this Blink as his first relic, so expect him to be active in these first 12 levels, as opposed to Panitom with the beads. A lot of the times you see Blink on Naja, but with that sash available, it's certainly not a must, so Panitom still is perfectly fine with this option, especially into an Athena and a Serqet.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, the Blink is all well and good, but you really have to avoid Eonic here, most notably. And Lasbra, beads allows the turnaround potential. Lasbra taunts you, beads, boom, I can 180 ult or sash or whatnot. A lot of different pathways for the Naja to take.
And that's what you want for a skilled player like Panitom. Just give him options, man, and trust that they'll be able to pick the correct one. And he talked about how he has to be avoiding Eonic on this Athena. Aggro kind of called it on the desk that they've been playing these set-up support gods for Eonic to try and put Snoopy in a position to succeed. The Erlang, Shen, and the Athena. Snoopy doesn't always need him. He's been hitting some sick freehand ultimates, but you know he's not missing if Eonic's hitting 2 or 3-man taunts, or even just on a single target. They will get flattened by this Kukulkan ultimate.
It transforms the pick. It absolutely transforms the pick. There are some characters that I say with Thanatos, if you miss your one, you better run. Don't even pick the character if you can't nail that on the regular. When it comes down to Kukulkan, that's not the idea. The Tornado these days does very reliable damage, and so when it comes to the ultimate, it's really like a space control option. It's an objective confirm option. If you toss it out there and have a 50% hit confirm percentage on it, that's fine. And there are very few abilities that you can say that for. But when you have set up like a taunt that guarantees it, the character transforms and becomes first pickable.
And you're seeing some of these efficient uses here from Snoopy. Right over the wall. He's going to be a part of those oracles as they goes down. And he's there for mid-harp. He's right back on time for this mid-wave here as well. Snoopy farming very efficiently in mid. And he's been under siege this tournament. I think that a lot of the teams in this placement play-ins towards the SMITE World Championship have recognized that, and a lot of the time, Snoopy is his team's win condition. A lot of times you'd have had Lasbra right there with him, but he has not always showed up this week, so just attacking Snoopy has worked for some squads, but when he's able to play like this, not under much pressure, farming well, that is when it gets scary for the other squads.
It's a big deal, and when Luminosity plays, they play all mid laners and hunters, carry 1, carry 2, generally look out for each other to a certain extent. Luminosity, Joshy and Snoopy play their own game more so than other teams. And so somehow Snoopy winds up peeling for himself. He has a lot of help from Eonic, and that's the thing, is that Luminosity's support generally plays more towards the carries than up front. Recently we've seen the taunt for Snoopy, but Eonic is usually there to help peel for everyone else. And that's allowed Snoopy, in addition to his individual prowess, to really get out of jail.
Both junglers considering ganks in opposite side lanes, and both junglers walk over a defensive ward from those side laners, so nothing really coming from either one of those. They both eventually have to give up the ghost. And discussing Eonic's playstyle, he does feel like one of those last true supports. I always said that when he played back with what TSM or you know, some of those older squads that he was on, and it's still the same case now. Him and Jeff Himla both, I think, are kind of those last bastions of that true support style, and this meta doesn't always favor that style. You got to be able to pivot into being really aggressive and being really playmaking, and I think Eonic does that well too on things like the Athena.
It's beautiful the way Eonic has really kind of reinvented himself as he goes for his second excursion in the SMITE Pro League. A lot of these players have just been playing for the long run. Eonic took a step away, wound up coaching, wound up doing some other things, and then right now kind of stepping in for the full shebang.
Good work from Joshy hiding in the wall. Eonic finds the taunt, but Netrioid remains calm. No need to drop beads there. He makes it back to the tower, but he can't defend the purple buff. LG at least gets something out of their time. And what's all this? A Gold Fury 8 minutes in, but they're not going to sneak this one. Sheento, Netrioid, they got their eyes on it.
When you've got,
but they got to the skies out of Ronngyu.
That's worth it. I mean, when you've got the Kukulkan, you've got to ring that doorbell. You just got to see what's up. You've got the objective damage from Kukulkan is not all that bad, and it's obviously the best objective secure on the map. So you got to go past and see if you can get it. But as soon as Sanguine show any signs that they know what's coming, they really just walk away. Talking about Eonic and his sort of reinvention, he very much was the old school Sylvanas player, sit in the back, pull you to him, root you, peel for the team. And now, like you said, the game is very different than it once was. That is still who Eonic is, but he's brought other elements into it as well.
Let's see if LG considers sticking to this one. The answer is no. Sanguine show up to the Gold Fury, but it's Eonic that's in trouble. Sash lands, Windfire wheels. Eonic drops right back down. That's an easy cleanup kill for Sheento. Snoopy throws in the ult to try and help, but it's way too late at that point.
Well played. I mean, that's Panitom just being the individual, and that will open up the door for Gold Fury, mainly because Snoopy's ult is down.
It's also great vision from Sanguine. They knew exactly where Eonic was. Look at all those wards in that bottom corner. They've got the Gold Fury at half HP. Ronngyu blinks instead. They're going to try and keep Snoopy away from this one. No, they've dropped the objective. They want the fight, but Xaliea cuts down Panitom. The collapse is here from LG. Snoopy buying all kind of time and right, but he ends up dying to Haddix. Both solo laners having an impact.
Sheento's all the way out, really can't interact with this whatsoever anymore. The 1-for-1 is clean. Panitom kind of gets punished for what he did before, and then Sanguine take down Snoopy. I think dropping the objective was the wrong call, but I also think that that is something that I can say given my commentator bias in the sense that I have view of everything.
Sure.
In that moment, John, I think that it definitely made sense for Sanguine. They didn't know where all the threats were because all their vision is up front. They weren't sure if they were getting flanked. So I don't hate the decision to drop it, but if we are sitting here empirically looking at the situation, Sanguine could have confirmed that.
Sanguine come away with about an 800 gold lead, just overall, not really as a direct result of that play in particular, but very, very small in their favor.
And the reason why I kind of doubled down there is because they chased out the ultimate from Snoopy. That's the biggest concern when you're looking for objectives.
Lasbra in trouble again. Panitom has turned on the jets with these sashes, and he lands right back into the Merlin damage. That combo is going to be a real problem for LG going forward, especially because Lasbra and Eonic both don't have any way out of that CC chain once they're in it.
I love what Panitom is doing here. He's got the speed boots, and that alone tells me what his thought process is. Obviously, he wants to provide as much damage as possible, but speed boots into Relic Dagger, that's going to give him the survivability because he knows, I think Ryan said it on the desk, maybe Kebab did, that he's setting himself up to get snooped here, right? You go up, you come down, and Snoopy says, thank you, I'll kill you now. So he's got a little bit of HP to withstand the damage here in the early phases. But really, as I said, looking at the speed boots, Panitom wants to hit his ultimate on cooldown, be disruptive.
I gotta think he was worried about getting ganked a lot too, as Xaliea makes an early rotation, finds Sheento, who's level 12. He ends up getting brought back thanks to the Horus ultimate, and Snoopy gets the kill. Ronngyu low as well, but underneath the tier 1, despite Joshy's accuracy, Ronngyu makes it out. Lasbra considering, though, a deep gank, and instead he might have just put himself out of position.
Yeah, Lasbra not tanky, and so he'll be grabbed up by Panitom. There's the ultimate going the other way. Lasbra in trouble. Ronngyu gets out. No! He's going to look for the dash, and there's the ultimate out of Haddix.
And so Haddix is going to be the disrupting factor, and Lasbra, I don't know if that's a miscommunication, but he must have expected that fight to go on longer or something to where he'd be able to get some realistic gank from the backside. He loves to wrap around and flank in fights. That's his play style, but that time he just gets isolated. Maybe it's this Haddix rotation that they're not expecting.
Too soon. Too soon, Executives. If this is 17 minutes in, when everybody has one extra item, whether that makes you a little bit more tanky or a little bit more devastating with your damage, that's when that dive in middle lane can happen. But in 12 minutes, with just the Jotuns and boots to his name, with just tank boots to Eonic's name, and Eonic was already in the yellow at that point in time because Panitom had made it late to the party, there's no dive potential there. And that was known by the time Lasbra passed red buff. Either communication was off or Lasbra waved it off. Either way, you got to be aware of what point in time the game you're in.
And this week, Lasbra's been hot and cold. A little more cold than hot, if I'm being honest about it. So they need Lasbra to be able to step up here for this team. I said that at the top of this game, is that he and Snoopy, I think, were really those big driving forces for LG's sort of resurgence towards the end of Phase 2.
Oh, yeah.
They cannot have been expecting for him to come in and play this cold. We know, though, still that he's got that carry potential. We saw it on the Serqet earlier in this week. So they need him to be able to turn this around. He's still not out of this game by any means. Xaliea is getting ganked.
Gonna get pulled in by Sheento, and Xalia's already dead, unless Lasbra has something to say about it. Ultimate from Eonic will help out as well.
Lasbra gets the kill in the Sheento. That's what they needed from him, and Joshy rotates over on the Chernobog. Lasbra does eventually end up falling as Panitom ults to get back away, but Haddix wants the fight to keep on going, looking for more dunks. There's the sash from Panitom, and it knocks him off, but still Xaliea alive.
Find the basic. Panitom can't, Haddix will. There's another one. Eonic puts
Good
himself
taunt.
back into danger, but it's Haddix that's in danger. Eonic with number 4.
Yeah, the only way they were going to die there is if that consuming bellow gets off, and with the taunt available from Eonic, no way that one happens. Perfect play from him. They end up turning that fight around, though I think with all the numbers they rotated over, that fight should have still been a bit cleaner in their favor, but I like that we're seeing LG active, especially Lasbra. We just talked about how important he is.
He's going to be one of the bigger forces here for Luminosity if they wind up being successful. I mean, you said it was a little cold, a little hot. Nah, this dude was invisible until the last set where he was hard to miss. I mean, he was the best player of all 10 players, I think, when he was performing. And it's out of character. He was very consistent all this year when he played jungle. I refuse to remember when he played middle lane. People expected that in the postseason.
That's the Gold Fury, easy as that for LG. Now that's how you make some value out of that gank on the right-hand side. Sanguine spent a little bit too long heading back after they clear up their jungle and their farm, and LG able to capitalize on that window. Very, very nice.
See, that's just lackadaisical play by Sanguine. That's a 2 for 2. Sanguine could have made it to the Gold Fury had they known. Take a look at the left side. Sanguine doesn't have any of the vision on that side of the Gold Fury. It has just fallen down. And
they got a sentry.
Exactly, right there in the middle. So they don't know until Luminosity's actively on it, which means it's too late. And they know that because Snoopy's going to obliterate it from 10% down.
Joshy makes into the wall, but Ronngyu, I doubt, looking to give up this aggression. Those are the beads from him. Lasbra here to even these numbers out. And the Defender of Olympus. And Ronngyu will immediately use his ultimate, and that's enough for LG to give up on it. I do want to mention, though, Snoopy goes directly into the Polynomicon third item. Usually, you do want to get Boots a bit earlier here, or not Boots, but Pen. He's delaying that a bit, but maybe he's not too worried about having to shred through without that much magic defense out there.
Well, at this point, you're going to look at the build from Panitom. That's mainly who you're attacking. The Panitom is low on the protections, mainly health, and the Polynomicon can shoot through that.
Haddix gets a bit greedy there with those charges on the ultimate, and who else but Snoopy is there to punish him. 2-1-0 for him on this Kukulkan. He's had a nice game for himself here this time and hasn't been under that much duress.
Now, which penetration option is absolutely imperative to watch. You know, you gotta, a lot of players can be kind of lured into the Spear of the Magus because obviously it's gonna stack up thanks to the tornado, but you're oftentimes just hitting players with ultimate right off the bat.
Joshy forced to use the ultimate. He'll head towards Ronngyu in middle lane. Ronngyu does land the stun, but Joshy's out of there. Lasbra goes in to create just enough space, and that's an easy disengage for Joshy, though it does end up costing him the ultimate. And you're right, I don't know that he necessarily, Snoopy, to go back to the pen discussion, has to get Magus this time. It's not as if there's other magic damage dealers that he's trying to synergize with either, which oftentimes kind of pushes Magus up to almost a must-buy. But he ends up picking up here anyway. Certainly does work well in the kit.
All right, well, it's certainly not wrong.
No.
And if anything, this shows kind of where Snoopy's going to be looking for. He's looking to be more active with the area denial and the tornadoes. For what it's worth, the tornado almost instant application as opposed to the way it used to work is a little bit more guaranteed. But again, when you look at those raw ultimates off of Panitom coming down from the sky, he will not make use of the passive, just a flat, I believe it's 15 on the Spear of the Magus, so we won't be getting any more than that.
LG do defend this purple buff very well. Joshy's been under a bit of duress this game. We've seen multiple gank attempts on him over here to the left to force out ultimates or beads, and he's done a great job navigating it. 0-0-4. He's also been able to rotate over to the fight. You saw him in that gank in right lane onto Haddix earlier as well. And level 17 up there with some of the highest level in the game. They're going to need a good game from Joshy, but hello, Sheento, put into the ground.
There's the Polynomicon doing work.
Strong enough item for them. And LG looking to use brute force to take down the tier 1. There's no Merlin to worry about. Who's clearing the waves? They grabbed it.
There's the Polynomicon doing work.
And as it will certainly continue to, now it's time to grab the Pyromancer for LG. And there's no one from Sanguine around, even again, to try and stop this one. Panitom going to his back Harpies. Ronngyu won't get there. This is a great sequence for LG, getting the kill on Sheento, the tier 1 tower, and now the Pyromancer.
So when we look at that, if you did get my pseudo-sarcastic, I guess sardonic is a better word, quip there, is that Polynomicon works on towers as well. By removing the tier 1 tower in the middle lane.
Lasbra looking for a play with Defender of Olympus, but Netrioid finds a sick knockup to prevent it, and an even better airstrike, so he doesn't get taunted or controlled by the last breath. He's out of there and negates a ton of cooldowns from LG.
Beautiful play there. I mean, that's why you select the Jing way. You want to be able to get out of dodge whenever it's hot.
No one else can do that, right?
No one. Jump over that wall. A couple of different players. Jump over that wall and then keep going and then keep going. Yeah, very few characters.
And deal damage on the way if she needs to. It's just sick, man. I mean, I think that's it, man. If you keep asking yourself, maybe it's explosive bolts, right? Maybe it's no, dude. It's Hairstrike, man. That's what makes this Jingwei so good.
You know, imagine if it was called Hair Strike.
Okay.
And she hit people with her ponytail.
Okay. Name some applications of that for me.
It would be damaging.
Oh, like, so it does damage to the hair.
Yeah.
Okay, like
Hair Strike.
Does she still, like, go up in the air?
That's debatable.
It's your ability. What are we... What?
The main part is the Hair Strike.
Maybe a Bayonetta
we could have Willow Smith come through.
crossover for the Jingwei or Willow Smith as she whips her hair back and forth.
Thank you.
Wind Demon coming out here for Netrioid. And
Love
this has been something we've seen a little bit more of. Why do you love it? Well, maybe I'll talk about it later. As Oni Fury being looked at. Eonic goes on the zoning duty to keep Ronngyu out. They've got the confirm with Snoopy's ultimate. LG grab the Oni Fury, and they're out.
Can I gush over macro play real quick? Panitom misses the sash. So I think I get a chance to. The Polynomicon comes out because Snoopy can apply the damage to the tower, which is going to knock out the tier 1 tower because it was very close to dying. Having the tier 1 tower down means Luminosity can grab the Fury a little bit easier, knowing that Sanguine don't have a place to fall back to for safety. The Oni Fury is the one that's coming up on the map. They know that if they grab the Oni Fury, that means they're going to get at least a tier 1 tower for free. Mwah! Chef's kiss!
Eonic dash in taunt gets the beads out from Panitom. Everyone's slowed by the ring bounce, and they got Snoopy isolated on the left-hand side. That is the priority target to remove, but Snoopy's still alive even now. The Aegis buys him all the time in the world, gets away from the second charge of Haddix ultimate, but not the third. They finally make it 1-for-1. Jungle for mid.
Eonic comes through in the clutch. Eonic puts the ultimate on top of Snoopy, and that keeps him alive for a little bit longer. And while you might say, but Tom, I mean, yeah, Snoopy died anyway, it kept him alive long enough for Lasbra to trade out the jungle. Panitom for Snoopy, sure, 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, but by ensuring that happens, Panitom is not alive to keep the crush going, and the tier 1 tower for Luminosity stands.
And Xaliea has a chance to maybe wrap around and lock down a couple members of Sanguine. They won't find them, though. Evasive maneuvers allowed for Sanguine to re-maneuver and get back out of there. But still, though, even though it ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, and that's way better than just 1-for-0, Panitom for Snoopy is probably going to be a trade that works for Sanguine going forward. Snoopy is so critical to this game plan from LG, having him alive.
And it was also a decent amount of bounty. You see the itemization coming out from Panitom, and he is absolutely looking for really help me survive against Snoopy, because he knows that if Snoopy is not the target, Panitom himself absolutely will be after whoever the target is comes down from the sky.
So Snoopy surviving their critical. Panitom trying not to get blown up instantly every time he looks for the Windfire wheels. That's going to keep being the strat here from LG. And how about Eonic, man? He keeps finding time after time really great initiations, and they're not all reliant on this blink. I know that's what the blink is there for him to be able to get really good initiation you can't expect or to catch you off guard. But even just off the dash, he has found these narrow avenues and windows and really put LG in a position to succeed.
Adding to his creativity, he's also adding the ultimate initiation as well.
Yeah.
He ults early in the team fight, whether his teammate is the target focus or not, and he's built the Pridwit, which allows him to create that big Nike shield slow type scenario, and that can even add control to the team fight that wasn't there before. So a lot of creative ways Eonic has entered the battle.
Blink taunt into 2. Snoopy does manage to get Ronngyu, but not the more valuable target in Sheento. Defender of Olympus is here, so Snoopy's mitigating some of this, but not enough for him to survive. It ends up being 1-for-1 as Ronngyu dies as well. But look at how aggressive LG are. Haddix makes it into the ground, though. That ultimate's going to keep right on trucking.
There's the easy retreat here. Lasbra interested in Sheento. But a nice job from Sheento. Make sure to cut that whole area off. No entrance.
LG was in control by about 4,000. That's been brought down to about 2,000 over these last few fights. Sanguine have done a really good job battling back in, and I feel like Panitom, man, has found some sick initiations for these teams with the sash. He knows who the target is, it's Snoopy, and he's sitting on him.
Absolutely, and the build was built to deal with it. As I said, the speed boots were just to make sure that he could get around every single place that he needed to in the early game. Play that root beer tapper type jungle where you're free safety. Whoever needs me, I'm here to help, no problem. Go for the Relic Dagger because he knows he's going to need beads early and often. And also, that little bit of help is going to allow him to survive when Snoopy hits him with the early low power ultimates. Then you move into some defense options here, mainly the Runic Shield I'm looking at. And now the Brawler's Beat Stick, that's going to give him 40 power and some penetration because he can return to targeting Snoopy one more time. The defense is there because he knows not everything is Magic Christmas Land. You're not always going to be allowed to ult Snoopy. Eonic is going to say, no, not allowed. But when you get the chance, you want to kill that mid laner.
If you can lock him down, Snoopy has now picked up this Book of the Dead, and that is going to make this strategy a lot harder for Sanguine going forward with all this mana that he's built. Netrioid has to use the beads off the initiation there from Eonic. It was Blink into the taunt, and he also has a Relic Dagger, just like Panitom, so there can be plenty more blinks.
There's a Frenzy as well. Snoopy tries to get away, he sees Panitom, and that is going to be a good disengage from Sanguine. It was a preemptive Frenzy, if you want my money. Sanguine recognized that, and that allowed them to get out unscathed.
A full-on disengage on the backside. That might be enough value out of it. I'm sure if Eonic could have a button that said, stop attacking my carries, he'd hit that and pick it up every day of the week, so it gets at least that much value. As Eonic dashes for Panitom, but Panitom expects it, blinks out of there to disengage. They get some good poke onto Haddix around this Gold Fury.
Ring toss off the Gold Fury is a real cute trick. It's always going to be stationary, allows the big slow right side, no way.
That's interesting. Where is Ronngyu going as he ults all the way over to right to come join up with Netrioid? Meanwhile, the rest of the team is in left. That might make this just a free Gold Fury for LG.
Yeah, that's got me scratching my head, man. I don't know what's up there.
Well, Joshy does use his ultimate. Maybe the concern was that Sheento could be isolated over there in right, so Ronngyu ults to come join him, but Netrioid's in trouble here in right now, but so is Lasbra. The return damage a little bit too strong here from this Merlin. That cuts him down quickly in favor of Sanguine, and they might be able to get some better ones, but Xaliea catches Netrioid back in and interrupts him.
Now Eonic's gonna blink, nice jump away, that's good, but I mean Netrioid is good as dead here. Xaliea picks up the kill, the team is there, Sanguine puts him down.
Look at Joshy though, way over and left. He's got a tier 2 tower to his name. Snoopy can't quite freehand this ult, but this is gonna force all of Sanguine back. Someone has to stop Joshy from free farming over there and left. This sequence turned out really well for LG. The Fury, and they get Haddix, and they get the tier 2.
I mean, that's what you do when a team makes an egregious mistake, like shove over to the right-hand side.
Snoopy, though, in this 1v1 up against Panitom, is in some trouble. Forces him to use the Purification Beads, but that's enough to get him back out of there. That's really all they need at this point. But like you were saying, this maneuver over to the right-hand side from Ronngyu, the best I can think is that he felt he had to react and get over there to try and protect Sheento.
Even still, that pause was my brain trying to parse for the 4th time, which has happened.
Sure.
Even still, if you're trying to go save Sheento, that Fury's happening. The only reason you go over to save Sheento is if you're going to counter the Gold Fury with a Fire Giant.
It's hard to match that value if you're doing just about anything else.
John, that's a straight-up mistake.
I mean,
that might lose the game.
I think so too, man. It certainly put them significantly behind. And now with the 5k gold advantage, LG are pulling the Fire Giant. It's already low, and Snoopy's got the confirm. What's going on? Sanguine have got to be at these objectives. LG catch him off guard again.
This is Sanguine are in trouble. I mean, nice shot there from Snoopy. This is a team fight.
And the delayed beads from Sheento basically seal his fate here at this point. He ends up falling to Joshy after the damage had already been done. Now the tier 2 tower on the mini for LG. They got a 5v4 advantage as well as they're grouped up to make the push. Panitom the one to keep your eyes on, or maybe not. He's backing. They might just give this one up.
Tier 2 tower. I mean, why not? 3 times a charm. They gave up the gold, they gave up the fire, why not give up a tier 2? This is Sanguine giving everything to Luminosity Gaming like they're moving away to Japan.
And Haddix already in trouble, the ticks are enough, and that Jormungandr will fall very early on. Snoopy was the target here from Panitom, but he's been able to buy himself enough time. The slow comes through, the taunt comes through too, and that keeps Snoopy standing. Joshy gets the credit. LG starting to run over the LATAM representatives.
Snoopy's so damn good. The rest of the team helped him out, but his ability to dance, bait the player, and provide damage output is fantastic.
Now this is a bit risky. LG haven't really spent
No,
their
it's not.
gold, but they get the big taunt. Ronngyu makes it back out. Look at these low health bars. Sanguine might be able to do enough, but with this frenzy popped, that should be it for the Phoenix, and LG got to hightail it out of here.
Beautiful play by Luminosity, and that Placement Weeks has been a lot of fun. Placement Weeks, we have seen the unthinkable, we have seen the unmatchable, we have seen console teams beat Pro League teams,
Sure.
we have seen minor league teams embarrass Pro League teams, and it seems like the divisions are all messed up. That is what makes Luminosity Gaming a Pro League team. One mistake, Ronngyu going to the wrong side of the map, that leads to a gold, leads to a fire, leads to a team fight, leads to a tier 1, tier 2, and a Phoenix. All of that off of one move from the support player. And this is less a super slam on Ronngyu, how dare you, oh my god, and more a nod towards what Luminosity could do with that small of a window. Beautiful stuff. I mean, that's an 11,000 gold lead when they had a 2,000 gold lead.
They've really been able to expand upon this lead in these last few sequences. I do want to point out that Sheento appears to be working on the staff mirrored in here at this point. Not something that we see very often anymore at all, but there are some spots where this one certainly can work. You're saying that you're not a fan here of it. You don't think it's particularly good on Merlin, I suppose?
Yeah, Staff of
Stance changers don't super love it, right?
Yeah, it's weird. Staff of Mirrodin and Hydra's Lament are distant cousins in the sense that there are characters that make it look beautiful, shouts to Susano, and there are characters that make it look terrible, shouts to Batz. Realistically, you can make this work on the Merlin, but a lot of times you have to do too much planning for it to be effective.
Lasbra is going to be rotating over with the team. He came all the way over from the right side jungle as LG are set up to make a push and left. Eonic, another blink taunt to get the fight started off, but this time the response from Sanguine's there. They make Eonic pay for it with half his health.
Good disengage. Luminosity have the HP 5 from the Fire Giant. Their itemization is also built in such a way that they can continue this push. Glad Shield still for Xaliea. The Devo gloves on the Joshy as well. And that Book of the Dead unprocced for Snoopy. We saw it save his life before. Almost half of that HP bar was a white shield. Doug highlighted earlier. That is Book of the Dead. That will save him.
It's a huge item here for him when he's become clearly the target. And this is without sacrificing too much. We have seen some breastplates in these mid builds, and I think that there are some spots for it. But this item allows you to do still plenty of damage also because it synchronizes so well with the Book of Thought that you have while giving him that safety. It's such a good item in this spot where he's the clear focus. And LG still lurking here in the jungle. I wonder if they're planning on giving up on this siege for now. Their Fire Giant has fallen off. They might just be done.
Yeah, it might be time for a take two. Snoopy's build, I think there might be a conversation about Spear of the Magus when you're the only magical player. Eonic, sure. But this is mainly Glickstick approved, so we're a fan of this build in general. Polynomicon on the Kukulkan used to be looked at as kind of a gimmick. I think it's very, very strong. It's almost guaranteed after his effort. And although Joshy is on the team, so you don't have to worry about not having confirmed, it absolutely helps provide tower damage as well. Oni Fury there. You see the brief delay? That brief delay there is to ensure that the Oni minions and the Oni waves will come down when Fire Giant is available. Fire Giant respawns right now, and the Oni minions will provide a threat right when Sanguine are going to look to defend that Fire Giant, and you can't do two things at once.
Couple of things to note on Sanguine's side. Feels a bit like bookkeeping. 2 Spirit Robes for him, for Haddix and Ronngyu. Great pickups against the Athena when you know that you're going to be taunted as part of that front line. gives you a little bit of extra help on the damage that's going to be following up. They're going to need every bit of it if they're going to defend this enhanced Fire Giant that LG are considering starting. And just defending in general, do you think that's the call here from Sanguine down this much gold, or should they give it up in this spot?
I do like the idea to start looking for some sort of a look at Fire Giant, but the full team fight is ill-advised.
Well, we'll see if maybe they do a bit of a soft defense, as I like to call it.
Right.
Just to show a face and maybe slow down LG, give yourself some time to farm. Netrioid's way over and left, getting some much-needed gold as Fire Giant has now been started here by LG. Panitom grabbed early and forced to use the Purification Beads, taunted right back in, but finds a Windfire Wheels. But Snoopy will be the one waiting with the Tornadoes, and that should be it for Panitom.
Beautiful target recognition there. Luminosity Gaming knows that the Naja's one of the more devastating players here, and that seems odd. And let me clarify that. You know, we look at the Scylla, the Kukulkan, zone that out. But the Naja can come in, toss a ring, come out, and play disruption. Kabam was right. Disruption is what Naja needs to do. He's not going to come in and ult the Fire Giant, right? What if he gets 2 rotations of ring bounce, stuns your carry in a lava pool? That's a big deal. And that's how Sanguine, it's kind of a throw yourself at the problem solution. But that's really down 15,000 what Sanguine looked to do. Luminosity identify that, put the Naja down, and they walk away with free fire.
Right side Phoenix will be the call here from LG. They've already gotten this one once before, so it shouldn't be that tough. Lasbra's the one in mid, keeping the mid wave pushed up as well. That way they can rotate right over to left, or he can even just threaten it on his own if no one rotates over, which could easily guarantee this right side. Phoenix, Eonic blinks in, and Netrioid takes a bunch of damage before he even can react.
That's that Polynomica. Snoopy is absolutely able to find it. Panitom off of the respawn, chases Lasbra off of the mid lane Phoenix. Both birds. 10-25.
Eonic goes back in again. Ronngyu responds with the ultimate this time, but the right side Phoenix has already been taken. They pop the Frenzy here as well, so they're looking for a fight. Joshy comes back down from the ultimate, and Netrioid appears to be the target, gets the ultimate charged up in time, and the Jing weighs out.
Uncharacteristic team fight for Luminosity, a mess in all honesty. And a lot of these team fights look like they came with an instruction book. Eonic blinks in, taunts. Somebody deals with Panitom, whether deal means just get ulted or not, a different story. Somebody deals with Panitom. Joshy goes up, provides the slow. Lasbra looks to the flank, Eonic comes through. We have seen that virtually every time, meticulously crafted like an adult level erector set. That time around, it was a little bit messy, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just want sloppy joes. And the right side Phoenix went down, so everybody's eating.
And I would say that the timing was a bit off of that whole push, right? When Lasbra was in threatening the mid Phoenix, you want that to happen at the same time as your other group of 4 are pushing on the right Phoenix, but they went in a little bit ahead and right, got pushed out, so Sanguine could unpunished send 2 over to mid to stop Lasbra. He still got good damage on the Phoenix, don't get me wrong, but maybe could have gotten it if the timing had been synced up right the way they wanted.
I think even in a perfect scenario, Panitom, that's just, you know, the devil's luck. Panitom spawned and walked directly to Lasbra. Did not pass go, did not collect $200.
Well, you at least punish him in the 4v3 then, right? If you're pushing at the same time, would be the idea, right?
Very short. Very, very true. But Lasbra is able to walk away. Panitom did what he needed to do, and he saves that Phoenix. Good job for the jungler outside.
It was good. I mean, they had to stop Lasbra. He'd have taken it free and clear. Lasbra yet again is on his own in mid, keeping that mid wave pushed up, and the whole squad's come all the way over to left. Another minute and 20 to work with this Fire Giant buff, trying to take down this left side Phoenix. It felt like LG's been in control all game, but we're 37 minutes in now. Sanguine have stalled this game out. They don't need that many defenses before they're back and having a chance to play a little bit of offense of their own.
We've got about one more stop in him, Finch. This is close, and it could be the end, but the ball's still in Luminosity's hands.
Ronngyu makes it back to the rest of the squad. Xaliea takes quite a bit of damage, about 40% in that last fight. Eonic dashes in, taunts, and that gets Haddix to drop his ultimate. He's starting to chunk. Snoopy and Xaliea both took a good deal of damage, but LG patiently waiting before they go back in.
Fire Giant's still up for about another 40 seconds. Well-timed ultimate from Haddix as well. We saw a lot of Wolves was blowing the ultimate a little bit too soon. One of the more active Jormungandrs here. Wolves and Haddix together have played 1,000 rotations with this god. And when you fire that ultimate is of the ultimate importance.
Well, that's the ultimate from Xaliea there as well. Doesn't find much. Panitom is very, very low, but it looks like they just can't lock anyone down long enough to actually get any damage off. This defense from Sanguine around this Merlin for the ranged clear and this Jormungandr, it seems particularly potent. Is there something in the engage from LG that you're not liking, or is Sanguine just playing good defense?
Sanguine's playing fantastic defense. Again, I am tipping my hat to Haddix and Panitom's build. Deep, heavy side.
I'm hearing it.
I have been, because I commended it earlier, and since I commended it, I've been, what's that Larry David gif? Kinda, sorta.
Yeah.
There are moments where it looks really good. You're like, wow, that's why he stayed alive. And then there are moments where you're like, well, he might have killed him if he had something different going on here. This build is kind of all over the place. The Void Shield and the Runic Shield, hybrid defense items. Then the Brawler's Beat Stick against a not exactly healer-based composition is there to deal with Xaliea and some of the options that he has to bring. There's a lot going on here, but it seems like just that outfit put together with all the weird, this from Louis Vuitton, this from the vintage store, this let down from my brother, and this I've had, and you just look sick. It's working out. I think a little bit more damage might be what I ask for. Sell those boots and give me something pure power, and then Panitom can look to delete one of the carries later on.
This might be a nice fight here for LG. Another blink engage from Eonic finds the taunt on the Panitom.
You were asking me earlier how many more defenses Sanguine needed to get to parity. They're almost there, but now Sanguine can fight. The Phoenixes are up, they're 6 slotted, they're ready to go. They still have boots, unlike their opposition.
Right.
But this is the fight Sanguine can, should, need to take.
So that's why LG are trying to step on the gas. Lasbra going for another long flank, and he does find Sheento way in the back and get the Purification Beads from him. Defender of Olympus from Eonic comes out to make sure that he survives.
It's a big tool.
But they can't get that pincer to snap shut. It's like Sanguine are inside the trap, but LG can't quite close it.
Too smooth. Sanguine now. They don't have the opportunity to be raw aggressive, but knowing that Eonic's ultimate down, they've got a big opportunity here.
Ronngyu pulled in yet again, but he keeps on surviving. The taunting the front line in for burst has not been working for them in these last few fights, especially because Snoopy can't afford to commit the ultimate. They need it so much for secure or other things in the fight.
Oni Hunter's Garb is helping Ronngyu out so much. The raw percent mitigation is so important, more important than the protections, more important than anything else.
And the CCR.
And if he's going to get taunted, the CCR, like you mentioned, is perfect. The percent damage mitigation is perfect. That is what's keeping Ronngyu alive. If he didn't have that item, Luminosity might have already won.
He's been doing a great job as that front line. Eonic does keep taunting him in, but the follow-up damage just not strong enough, and you can't fault Joshy too much. Titan's Bane, Kinsai's Executioner. This team, I mean, Spear the Magus, Obsidian Charge, Soul Reaver, they have built with the understanding that they are trying to blow up that frontline member. It looks as though that is the game plan, and it's all consistent with the build. It's just not quite enough. They got to find a way past Ronngyu and Haddix.
And see, that's the thing. I'm not coming up here saying, well, Luminosity must be real smooth brains that they can't figure out a different play style. It's great. It's credit to Sanguine for not giving them another option. You come up and there is no chicken or beef question. You're only getting the bird. Rongyu's the only one you can taunt at all, because look at the positioning from the rest of Sanguine. And it's twofold. Not only are they safe and sound there, but they're helping Ronngyu. He can dash through the wall to a teammate, and by putting themselves behind safety, Ronngyu has the option there, which he has used every single time. LG need to look for a flank. Lasbra is the guy to break this stalemate.
And Ronngyu has been playing so well as that front line. Eonic two-man taunt, that's Netrioid and Ronngyu brought in, but he was just too far forward with that dash. No one was in position really to follow up.
That's exactly it. Snoopy gets chunked a little bit, and Panitom, his radar needs to go off right now.
Snoopy might be in trouble. He's got to back up a bit too so he can get some peel. Lasbra, though, in a 1v1 over here with Panitom, he comes out favored. Both of them use their ultimates, but it's Panitom who's low.
No problem, though. Whether or not he wants to back is a different story. But the Enhanced Fire Giant isn't going down with the one pick or the surprise. This is a full team fight investment. LG are setting the trap.
It looks like they are trying to see if they can catch out Sanguine. They go right for Panitom early on. That leaves Snoopy alone in the back. Aegis has tried to keep him alive. There's the ultimate, and it rips through. Snoopy's still alive even now, but Haddix finally cleans him up. They traded 1-for-1 though, as Panitom ended up biting the dust as well. Ronngyu finds Xaliea. Ronngyu on the dive underneath the tier 1. Sanguine from LATAM trying to see if they can shut down LG.
That was beautiful. Sanguine saw the trap, and they were like, hey man, something smells funny. Something looks weird. Something ain't right. 2 players drop the wards around the corner, and Luminosity Gaming are sitting there with their hands on their hips like, they know where we are. We got to go. Sanguine got the trap. They figured it out, and now they have the lead.
I don't know how much just Lasbra and Eonic can defend in this situation. This is a big opportunity for Sanguine. Netrioid in the back trying to deal with Lasbra, does catch the last breath. Meanwhile, Eonic's already been relegated to the back line. That at the very least is mid-Phoenix, but we're still 23 seconds from Snoopy.
They're going.
I think Sanguine might have a chance here.
Go, vamos. This is where you walk into the throne room. Lasbra can do work here, but he'll be chased away. This is where the Merlin damage comes into play. It's good at Gold Fury. It's good at Fire Giant. It's good on the Titan.
The Titan's incredibly low at this point. Sanguine have done it. They've managed to drag LG all the way to this point. Wait, I said it. There it is. They grabbed this game here over LG when they were never really in the lead in terms of gold up experience. They held on to grab game number 1.
Fantastic identification from the Sanguine boys. Like I said, it was a cool trap from LG, but Sanguine knew something was awry. They knew something was afoot. They dropped those wards down, and then in in that moment, Luminosity had 2 choices, but the problem is they had to make it immediately. They either had to go in or remove themselves from the situation. Going in was the wrong choice because Sanguine had already backed off since they noticed a trap, and because there was too much distance for LG to travel, it goes the other way.
And I wonder how much they're going to be kicking themselves over this trying to taunt in Ronngyu strategy, man. I mean, that for the last 20 minutes was the way they were trying to go about ending that game, and Ronngyu was not dying at that point, man. He had found a way to absorb that damage and get back to his team to heal up.
Like I said, I think Sanguine did a good job of only offering Ronngyu up, and that's how they kept Eonic at bay. That's how they stayed in the game for so long, and that's how they got themselves the opportunity to turn things around and take the first game.
You can be in the lead for 44 minutes, but you got to get the Titan if you want to win here on the Battleground of the Gods. That's just game number 1, though. We'll be right back for game number 2.
I hope you're ready for a long night. 40 minutes plus. We are past 9 p.m. as we are into the last set. And Sanguine pull out the win. They're ready for the long night. They play for the long game. They win 40 plus minutes in. Aggro joined by Kabam on the desk. Kabam the first, 30 plus. All Luminosity. It's all centered around this Athena taunt straight into Kukulkan damage. It's working until it doesn't.
Yeah.
What was the turning point?
It really felt like the turning point was it has to be that final team fight, right? I mean, I when I originally watched it, I was like, oh, I guess Snoopy just got absolutely destroyed by Jorm, but the Jorm didn't even like hit him. I think everyone just saw the snake flying around in the sky and like, we want nothing to do with this. Snoopy, you're on your own, and Snoopy just got slammed.
Just it was Xaliea, Lasbra, and Eonic all commit to Panitom because Panitom had used his ult in a weird spot before that in the 1v1 against Lasbra, but it takes them too long to kill Panitom. They leave Snoopy alone, and he just gets decimated.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
did 40k that game on the Kukulkan. Lasbra only 14. Serqet certainly not the damage either that Kukulkan is, but with the lead the Luminosity had, I think that we should be seeing a little bit more out of Lasbra's damage department.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, too, maybe it was just a failure to understand your win condition, because regardless of what Lasbra has on the screen right now, if you don't leave Snoopy alone to get isolated and murdered, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
And when you have a team fight in which you have like a Chernobog and like a Serqet, you really don't have anything to contribute as far as ults that are really going to impact everyone.
Right.
So the whole way you lose this game is you let your giant Kukulkan that's been breathing wind at these people for the past like 35 minutes just explode for no reason.
Oh, but wait, Kabam, that's exactly what happened in the mid lane. I've
Yeah.
got bad news, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say, man. I'm really impressed by Sanguine to understand that was the fight that they had to take. I'm really impressed that they pushed in.
Yeah.
But I do feel like if you're going to play a 40-minute game, you might as well finish the last 2 minutes that you have left to play.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, LG do their best, but ultimately fall a little bit short. For what it's worth, I think that LG, I thought Eonic played really well, picked almost every fight well except for that last one. Ultimately, that's the most important, of course, the last fight of the game. But overall, Luminosity probably pretty happy. Xalia's King Arthur still... Maybe I'm spoiled. Maybe I'm just used to the varieties in Final Ks of the world and the solo trolls of the world. It just hasn't done it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't speak to me, but I'm not crying in the club or anything.
Right.
That Xaliea is on this.
He's not hard inting either.
Yeah, exactly. And he did have that one play where he baited, I think it was Haddix and 2 other people chased him, and they had like 4 globals, and they made it happen. So,
sure.
like, it's not the worst thing ever. I think Xaliea still ends up dying somehow, but it was good in theory. I think it utilized the comp. Maybe the reality is they just needed to use Lasbra and Eonic more together, but I think Eonic as a whole was playing really good around corners. I think he really communicated well with Snoopy. So I think you just need to utilize your jungler that's really mobile and get on top of people with that ult in the early game.
Yeah, Netrioid's able to do all that damage to Snoopy. Watching that replay back again, I mean, when your Jing Wei is able to dash in late game 42 minutes, I mean, it's going to make some plays. That scared me. I was not prepared for that noise. Clearly, LG was not prepared for that late game team fight. I will say, I think Sanguine need to do a better job in picks and bans. I think they got away with one there. And in their opening game against Hype Unit earlier on, was that today? What day is it? Where am I?
Yeah.
Who knows? That also was not particularly impressive, but they adjusted in picks and bans pretty well, and we'll see if they can do it here as we're going to get it started. I think that the first pick Serqet, if we're to do that draft over again, if you're Luminosity, I think you take first pick Yorm. I think that Lasbra, ineffective that game anyways, put Xaliea on the pick that he looks the most comfortable on.
Yeah, I could see an argument for that. I just think that Haddix has looked really impressive on all of his other picks as well. I don't know that he was particularly dominant, and I think that was a game where LG really had control. And I think if they run that back again, that if that Yorm doesn't have the opportunity to ult from the jungle, there's no way that fight is won.
Right.
So there is the argument that that's the only character in the game that can do that, but also if they just were patient for like 30 seconds, that never happens. And I think they were in a dominant position for a lot of this game.
100%. I definitely see that. And if I'm LG, I'm just picking Athena Kukulkan next to before the next phase, or Erlang Kukulkan. I'm taking Kukulkan, basically, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Sanguine locks in that Jing Wei. They might take it away. I mean, Sheento is a very, very versatile player. I'm sure he's got that in his god pool, but that feels pretty bad to have to take that pick away, especially from Snoopy, who's played really well in a lot of different picks so far this week. I'm not surprised that they stick to their guns and go Jing Wei Merlin, the exact same backline they had last game. LG, if they don't take setup god for Eonic, Kukulkan here, then I don't know. I'd be mind blown.
Your strength is no match.
Setup god, okay, we're 1 for 2.
We've done it, and it's definitely going to be...
It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
Vinny is going to lose his gourd if they don't pick Kukulkan right now, and they do.
There we go.
All is right in the world. I like this much better for LG because, frankly, if Lasbra's going to be hot or cold, why are we top 3ing his pick anyways? You know, he can get an assassin that he can potentially pop off on later in the draft.
Yeah, I think there's also something to be said that like when you're holding somebody's pick, it's because you want them to get a good matchup. And at that same thing, like, is the matchup even going to come into play at that point? So either way, I think you just need to ask more of Lasbra, probably. I don't think he's played particularly bad that game, but he just did not show up the way that he has historically in his SPL sets and had the impact that you would have expected.
Absolutely.
And it's sort of like, you know, other teams that expect their junglers to like come in like a big game, like if you don't show up, your team's going to look weaker. So
Oh, I actually like that Athena ban quite a bit by Sanguine. I mean, that's a ban that could have been Erlang in the jungle, and then put the Athena in support, and you're just toast. That's actually really heads up that might have gotten by me for sure. So now Sanguine, they've got an option here for Ronngyu. He went with the Horus last game. That's banned away this time around. Batz for Panitom, a pick that he looks very comfortable on and one that he really likes. And this is a pick that dives Kukulkan very well.
And it's also a pick that Lasbra likes as well. So it hits, it checks all the marks that you'd want for a pick, and it's of complete value.
Good point.
That's Chernobog again.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. That wasn't the most inspiring game from Joshy last time around, but he's done well on this pick historically. It's a strong pick overall. You went over that last game. It's fine.
Yeah, it's nothing, like, you're not inspired when you pick Chernobog. You're like, I'm going to farm and hopefully,
I guess I'm going to have to get my hands dirty again.
Serqet, it's still open.
Yeah,
I first picked it last game.
Yeah, I think if I'm Sanguine, I'm like, please play it again. And now that we've gotten to the point where, like, every jungler I can think of, other than maybe Rat that Lasbra plays, is off the table.
Yeah.
That you're like, yeah, let's make him play it again. That was not his best performance, and he's only had one this tournament so far that we've really seen like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
so.
Pele as well, but you don't really want to pick that against Jing. I
also think most of his Pele games have been like,
meh.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like he's like really getting in there and mixing it up and doing all the damage you want with that character, and at that point you're like, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here with this one.
Plus, he's building out of the Mace tree from the Scream school of thought, automatically bad.
Yeah, immediate L. It can't be anything else.
Can't be doing that on any jungler ever, except Bastet, pretty much. But Serqet is the call here, and Fenrir rounds it out for Sanguine. This tells me that they're going to try and kill Eonic early, right? I mean, no CC immunity in the kit. They're going to try and take him out of the game to take away that setup for Snoopy. And I think they've got the draft to do it. I mean, these are good tank-killing gods. Fenrir, Merlin, Batz, they kill tanks pretty well.
Yeah, I think if we're on the same line of thinking, I'm like 99% sure that this Erlang is for Eonic. He could still play Serqet. He has in the past.
That's true.
But either way, I think this Fenrir, if he finds Eonic, he's going to make Eonic miserable.
Yeah.
So it's kind of Snoopy did a really good job of being wherever the Naja ult was happening and ulting and making sure they were trading damage. So I don't think it matters that much. It's just making sure that Eonic isn't dying for free. So that's going to be up to Lasbra in addition to Snoopy.
Absolutely. Just get that counter dive going. I think Sanguine came away with a better draft. I think LG still got everything they wanted at the same time. Yeah. And I think the difference between Xaliea on King Arthur and Xaliea on Yorm is big enough that I expect LG to win this game.
Yeah, I think that as long as they continue, because I thought LG had it in the bag. So if it goes the same way, we're feeling really good. And as long as this Fenrir doesn't get to run around and get free picks for no reason, I can't imagine it goes too differently.
Is it easier to play against the same comp 2 games in a row? Yes or no?
I think it's easier if you're the winning team to draft that same comp because there's no reason to fix something and show anything else. So
no reason to fix it for Sanguine. They're trying to move on and eliminate Luminosity. Game 2.
Thank you, Aggro, as well as Kabam on the desk. It's still Finch and F. here, and LG, the SPL representative, and a pretty strong one at that, now on the brink of being eliminated by Sanguine, who do not even have their starting solo laner here with them. Now, that last game was real close. LG was in control for most of it, so maybe they can do that again and just close things out a little bit sooner.
I mean, at the end of the day, that was Luminosity's game for 99% of it. Sanguine discovered one trick and was able to go ahead and take it. Listen, it is very likely we see a third game. I think the absolute truth here is that Luminosity. Here's the deal. I mean, how are they bouncing back after that loss? Because this is a squad. We saw Eonic on the player cams yesterday. You know, if they can just shut up and put up, we are almost certainly going to a game 3. But Sanguine, if they can capture that lightning that they grabbed there, this could be over very, very quickly. They have built themselves to end it very, very quickly. Ronngyu on the Fenrir. This is a competition that is looking to make things happen early, often, and aggressively.
And as the desk was saying, specifically towards Eonic, on this Erlang Shen, the Fenrir with that Ragnarok ultimate should be able to grab him relatively consistently, bring him right back to the squad. Merlin shreds through him. The Unbat keeps the CC chain going. Jing will be there to shoot through as well. It's going to be a difficult path for Eonic to try and avoid getting picked often in the early game, but the setup on their side is virtually the same.
And the problem that we saw Eonic have going into Sanguine last time around is not something that Ronngyu will run into. He can literally jump over the front line from Luminosity here and then provide the pullback after the fact. He doesn't have to be stonewalled by these players in front.
Not necessarily at all in this one, as Eonic going to be looking to set up for Snoopy a lot like what we saw in game number 2. Now, I do also wonder if the Fenrir, if he ends up being the target very often, I mean, is he as safe as the Horus? The Horus could dash back to teammates and heal and have all these tools. I feel like it might be easier to lock down Fenrir the Assassin as opposed to Horus the Warrior.
Here's the deal. Blink makes it so that Ronngyu can jump out as well. You blink past the front line, you're able to go ahead and grab somebody, or you get in trouble and then you can jump your way out. Also, when you're in Ragnarok, your protections are massive and you can go ahead and find your way CCMU and wiggle out. So there's nothing as safe as being able to dash through a wall. So the up-down answer to your question is you are correct, but it won't be, you know, he's not a sitting duck. It's not Sylvanas, so to speak.
Right, he's not free for LG to come grab by any means in this game. But as I was saying, that core combination with Snoopy is going to be the same. And I really think, and you know, I don't like beating up on anyone in particular, but they got to get more out of Lasbra, man. This has just not been his week.
No, you're absolutely right. While I take no pleasure in it, I will pick up the stick if you'd like. I said before that in that situation where Eonic cannot get past the front line, it is absolutely, we'll take his name out of it, the jungler's job to find the flank. Lasbra didn't do that. Snoopy hit 40,000 player damage in
absurd.
that one. Lasbra also had a 4, but it was 14,000 player damage. That can't happen. He needs to do more. Mainly, he is supposed to be one of these superstars. Now, Snoopy has been a reluctant superstar since he entered the damn building. The man is magical. But Lasbra, this is a guy that made waves, and you need to create a tsunami this time around.
And you know, maybe the 14,000 damage, you could argue that that's fine if he's doing the role that he needs to, which is like pulling out beads and making it so that everyone doesn't have all their tools available every time Eonic goes in to look for some initiation. But he wasn't doing that either, right? So, I mean, at a certain point, you gotta step up, man. I mean, this is it. You all go home if you do not win this game. So they need that performance.
Rongyu's going to be here in the jungle, but he is surrounded and jumps on out.
But could still be in trouble. Lasbra still in the warp path. There's the blink, though, that you mentioned earlier, showing some defensive applications this time as it gets Ronngyu out of trouble.
You know, I'll double down, because it's one thing to say, well, Sheento could be in trouble. Like a strong.
Does still have the beads, and he feels he has to use them to get away from that slow on the tail end, but Sheento makes it out.
So it's one thing just to say, well, Lasbra needs to do more. Let me explain to you how Lasbra breaks that situation. Eonic can't taunt anybody but Ronngyu, because Rongyu's standing up in front and the entire team is behind Ronngyu, giving Ronngyu a Horus target to dash to. So in order to get around there, Lasbra comes from the flank. Either he chases out relics and does damage himself, or he makes Ronngyu turn around. Once Rongyu's back is turned, well, Eonic can taunt whoever the hell he wants because he can literally walk around Ronngyu. Lasbra needed to be the disruptor that Kabam had mentioned on the desk. And because Lasbra didn't, or that he was talking about with Panitom, but Lasbra needed to play disruptor as well. Because he couldn't disrupt it, Ronngyu didn't have to move, and because Ronngyu didn't have to move, there was never an opportunity for Eonic to find it. So there is the X, Y, and Z of what Lasbra could have, should have, would have done in game number 1. Game number 2 will be a little bit different because Sanguine will be a little bit more aggressive, and so Lasbra can afford to sit back a little bit and play more with the team. Either way, Finch, he's got to do more.
And I understand there's a lot of junglers in Season 6 who play with that sort of kind of way along the outskirts of the team fight style. Adapting does it very well for the Knights, right?
Gotta.
But there's also, I mean, Layers this week was in there, man. In almost every single one of those games, you know, he's right in the thick of it and being that engine that was setting up for them. Sam for Soccer's in there almost every single game. There's certainly plenty of opportunity to be an impactful member of the fight the whole time too. So we know he's capable of it. You know, that's why we're being hard on him. He just got to show it to us.
That's the thing. Lasbra earned his way to the Pro League by... oh, no.
Okay. Haddix on the warpath there, man. He wanted that one.
Haddix has been a different breed of player here. It's one thing to come in as a substitute. It's one thing to come in as a substitute and perform well. It's one thing to come in as a substitute and perform well on a team that barely speaks your language. I mean, Haddix has been absolutely out of control. And don't forget, he's a kid from the States, and he doesn't speak Spanish as well as his teammates.
Eonic taunts in, and Ronngyu flatten. That's your first blood for LG to get them off to a good start here.
Wow, wow.
Sorry, the face you made was like, whoa, did I miss that?
I think...
You think it's 9 o'clock is what you think, right?
I think Ronngyu thought he was level 5.
And that he had an ultimate to get out of there? He sure didn't.
He's like, all right, I got him. I jumped him. I stunned him under his own tower.
That sure did look like he was going to Ragnarok him, right? Yeah.
There was no teammates within range. That was Ronngyu going, all right, I got... Guys, don't look at the kill feed real quick. Like, I think that was a brain asleep moment, because that looked very, very odd.
And it's worth talking about Ronngyu a bit, too, because we did talk a lot about the play he made in game number 1, right around that fire giant, where he moves over there towards Sheento on the right side of the map, and it ends up giving up the gold free and a lot of stuff there for LG. And so we got to make sure that decision making is there where it needs to be.
Yeah, that was it. Going back and looking at the tape, they tried to solo the fire giant. An interesting thought process. Interesting is the word, the euphemism I'm going to use there. At least they're doing something. A lot of times we see when, it's hard to call Sanguine a lower end team, but a lot of times we see these challenger squads, whether it's minor league, console, otherwise, come in and play against the pro league teams. They're willing to sit on their hands a little bit more. So I like to see the ability to go for it. Ronngyu had the ultimate that time. I held my breath. But still, just the wrong choice. We saw it led to Luminosity's kind of usurpment of the game there. But I like this aggressive style from Ronngyu. It's always what he's done. And going to the Fenrir is, why make 10 louder? This one goes up to 11.
Yeah, and I assumed Ronngyu and them were up to something over there. These are too strong of players to have just, missed an objective or something like that. So it ended up being that they were trying to get that fire giant play. So a risky call that didn't pan out that time. But hey, when you get the W, all is forgiven. Sanguine on top here, and let's not forget, we've all been joking about this long day. As hold that thought, Eonic is in the middle of a CC chain that there's no escaping from. He does find a 3-man taunt though, and maybe Lasbra's squad can get some work out of it. He chases Panitom over the wall. Joshy does get Ronngyu to make it 1-for-1.
Panitom going to be able to wiggle out of there, no problem. But 2-for-1. Eonic goes down, Ronngyu goes down. So both supports kind of die 1-for-1. I correct myself, but we're going to see the aggressive play from LG onto the red buff, and that, do I got to say it? Stuff after the stuff. That's what LG needs to be doing.
And they do that kind of thing effectively. I was saying that, we talked about that 4.5 hour set. It iced these players, man, to some extent. LG and Sanguine have been waiting all that time for their game. Sanguine are going to have to keep on waiting. This Gold Fury being stripped away from them as LG catch them napping.
I talked about it last game when I talked about Ronngyu going to the right side of the map, and that opened up blah, 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 blah. Right there. Luminosity it's a 1-for-1 trade, but they see they see the small windows of opportunity. They squeeze through it. They rob the red buff. They rob the gold here.
Bad influence on me, Tom, with all these criminal references here, man. I was making them earlier.
They literally stole the red buff. It belonged to the other team. That's a robbery.
I suppose so, right? Yeah.
It was an armed robbery. They killed someone to steal something from the opponent's house.
You killed that guy. That's a crime. That's me
murder.
Shouting out the Ron Jobbert announcer.
Oh, like in the announcement?
Yeah, like in the announcement back. Miss me some Ron Jobbert all the time here as LG.
No, miss me with Ron Jobbert. I hate him.
Whoa, did you mean that, what you said?
Yes.
Hopefully he's out there to hear it. As LG are in control here in this game, about 2,000 out in front, but they were way more than that in game number 1, and Sanguine still held on to play defense and were able to find a win. But it's worth noting, Ronngyu a good bit behind, Netrioid a good bit behind. That duo lane, in air quotes, has not been farming quite as effectively, and now Pyromancer on the menu.
First of all, love your air quotes. Second of all, Fenrir support behind. Name a worst duo there. Fenrir has to be aggressive. Fenrir has to jump in. Fenrir doesn't have the particular base stats that your normal Guardians would. This is a bad look. Ronngyu doing this, can't do this. And this is one of Rongyu's downsides. I speak very highly about this guy. I love his instincts. I love his ability to protect his teammates, and I love that he's willing to save them, but also knows when to cut them off. That decision-making seems to be very strong. What isn't very strong is his ability to farm. This guy consistently finds himself behind, and the Fenrir pick fits his playstyle, but not his... I think it fits his theoretical playstyle, but not his practical playstyle. If you're going to fall behind, playing the assassin support is shaky ground.
It's not easy. And he's playing one of these assassins that does bring some stuff other than damage, but the flip side of that you mentioned is that he's got to be able to live long enough to pull someone back with the Ragnarok, so hopefully he can do that even if he's behind a bit. LG bait onto the Pyromancer that pulls in Ronngyu, but the Fire Giant has been picked up as well, so there's some extra damage in this fight. Big Fear No Evil spreads everyone out, but Snoopy's still able to find some damage with the ultimate. Eonic stuck in the back line, caught up inside the King Arthur ultimate. LG still managed to get the Pyromancer and all that, but Ronngyu hunts down Eonic.
Hanging out on the left side will be taken down by Joshy. Again, the 1-for-1 as the supports go down. Netrioid didn't even show up. That's why he'll grab the tier 1 tower. It's going to be a nicer look there for Sanguine, simply because Netrioid didn't answer his phone. That said, as much as I make fun of it, that's the right call. That's an awkward fight, a haphazard fight. And if I'm in Sanguine comms, really what I want to be hearing is Ronngyu going, I messed up, everyone leave.
They managed to turn that into not too bad of an exchange, though, right? They got the tier 1 tower on the left. They do lose Pyromancer, but it's basically a 1-for-1 in terms of the kills, too. So all things considered, down a man, and not a horrible fight for Sanguine.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is That was a bad fight turned into kind of something wonderful.
Sure.
You know, evens out the tower for the Pyromancer. Ideally, Ronngyu doesn't get into that sort of situation, burning his jump and realizing the Fire Giant, but Panitom and Haddix save that fight. Fear No Evil, sure, but Haddix grabbing with the ult?
Yes. Fear No Evil is such a strong ability, man, isn't it? I mean, I feel like somehow Unbots always gets kind of pushed to the side a little bit with all these other fancy junglers, man. Fear No Evil is just a good darn ability, always and forever.
There are very few, if any, evergreen characters. By that, you can pick any meta, any time, but Batz is one.
Ronngyu responds to Eonic's initiation by going directly into the ultimate. The stun's not there, though. That might have been enough to fully punish Eonic, but he makes it out. Haddix trying to rotate his way into the fight, but no blink for the King Arthur, so he's not able to close the gap.
That right there is why Sanguine picked the Fenrir. We're thinking more offensively because Fenrir is an offensively leaning character, but that right there is why Sanguine wanted it. When Eonic goes up for the taunt, whether it's blink or dash, Ronngyu goes, word, not only am I CC immune, but you're coming with me, homie. And Snoopy's going to hit that ultimate on reaction, because when you have that taunt combo, you can't wait for the confirmation. You have to go it on reaction. So Ronngyu CC immunes the taunt, picks up Eonic, punishes Eonic for it, and gets Snoopy's ultimate. That's a nice exchange.
And you got to be wondering, why do they keep giving them this combo, right? The Athena or the Erlang Shen, the Kukulkan there for Snoopy. It's clearly a strat for these guys to deal with it, and I think it makes a ton of sense. Eonic in the clutches, the Fear No Evil there as well, and Haddix cuts him down to size.
Xalia's going to be chased out by his direct lane opponent. Now the Oni Fury pulled up by Sanguine, and positioning given out by Haddix, Panitom, and Sheento. Sheento needs to be on that objective. He will be.
Edge right on back. Oni Fury grabbed for Sanguine. That's their first Fury of the game to try and get things much, much closer back to tied. Man, Sanguine are right here in this. So impressive.
Man, Sanguine are a team after my own heart. Look, Panitom looking for the flank and scaring Snoopy off the tier 1 tower. Listen, adaptation, man, they played that good, let's ban it, right? That's some like big ooga booga brain stuff. But if you really want to bring ooga booga brawn stuff, the brain stuff is just, well, they have that, but we can counteract it. And having that CC immunity on the Ragnarok and able to kind of punish Eonic, That's the best case scenario, and they're going to continue it here.
Now it's Lasbra who's dropping. Ronngyu brings him right back into the waiting damage of Sheento for yet another pick. Sanguine now have the kill lead to go along with the fact that they've tied things up, but Ronngyu bit off more than he could chew this time, taunted back in, and the tornadoes are enough to even the kill count once more. Tower for a teleport.
Ooh.
I don't think it went through. No one's here from Haddix this time to try and join the fray.
Yeah, Haddix didn't make it there with the teleport. I'd like to go into that a little bit more. I sort of broke down the stage 1 of what happens. Eonic goes in, the Ragnarok comes out to immune the taunt, right? And best case scenario in that exchange, Eonic gets killed. And it's a 5-on-4, and Sanguine can continue going. Well, we didn't see the best case scenario. Eonic wiggled his way out. And then what allows that to happen next time is that somebody else has the reeds burned in that onslaught, and Eonic, even if he chooses to buy beads, which this is a game that he probably needs to buy beads on as a support, those beads are gone. That means Panitom is going to come through and demolish. This fight around the Gold Fury is brought to you because Luminosity went for the play that was negated by Sanguine's Fenrir choice, and that allowed them to find the secondary fight by way of Panitom, which led them to the Oni Fury. That was all interconnected. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Wonderfully crafted by Sanguine. Those are the types, man. People ask me, you know, what is it about SMITE that gets you going? That. I love to see that adaptation.
Great plays there from Sanguine. Just great mindset in general for the SML squad. And if they are able to clean this game out, I mean, the simplicity that awaits them, that would guarantee a minor league team would have made their way all the way to Worlds at that point. So a lot kind of on their shoulders, representing their whole region, really their whole division in terms of competition. But to speak more about this game here, we're starting to get past that lane phase into the mid game here now, where those lanes have broken down. Do you favor any one of these squads in the late game if all things are even?
I mean, just looking at the drafts, I got to say Luminosity. You've got Snoopy here on some late game prowess, and Xalia's choice is going to do very well, and Joshy looks strong. Joshy is kind of met by Netrioid, but the ability for Joshy to split push, like here, Joshy could be all the way on this side, go up in the air, and then take Fire Giant while there's 2 people on the left side of the map. That's what's going to help Luminosity in the late game.
And that does leave 2 members stranded and left for a 5v3 fight that should favor LG, but Eonic gets pulled all the way back. A long-range ultimate from Snoopy does make contact and land, so they do get some damage, but not that much. It's really just a pyro.
Yeah, Ronngyu didn't need to get in there. It's a little scary. He wearing his glasses? There's a big marker on the ground there, man. Yeah, he is. See, he wouldn't have done well in WildStar.
But does still end up getting hit towards the back end. So LG, around these smaller objectives, the Pyromancer, some camps, they've done well there, but they're even on Furies with Sanguine here at this point. No one's really, I mean, we're still early, really made any looks towards that FG either. At this point, they've basically just been treading water for 19 minutes alongside Sanguine. Both these teams have been playing almost evenly.
There's about 1,000 gold worth in Tier 1 towers available for LG, and that's a positive thing, right? That's gold that can't be brought back for Sanguine. They only have their Tier 2s available, et cetera, et cetera. So that is a good look, but right now, I mean, this is 1,000 gold separating the teams at 20 minutes, tied at 4. That is a tie, up, down, left, right, BA, start, select. So when I'm looking here for either Sanguine or Luminosity to kind of break this one open, is LG, it has to take advantage of the Chernobog stuff. What we just saw there, where Netrioid's pushing and then Panitom goes, ha ha ha, we can take advantage of this. Take advantage of that yourself and have Joshy split push to his heart's content, draw players over, and then use the ultimate the way it was designed to be used.
But I just want to know what's on page 2 for LG. I mean, the obvious, Eonic setup into the Snoopy follow-up. I mean, that strategy's huge for them, and that's clearly page 1. But when that one falls through, what's next? I mean, is that where we need to see more from Xaliea and Lasbra stepping up and making some plays here for this squad, or are they that reliant on that combo to work?
I mean, Lasbra's page 2, Lasbra's page 1, really.
Well, Eonic's already been grabbed every time he looks for the blink ult, but still an ulter from Snoopy does make contact, at least onto Haddix. Joshy joins the fray too, but a great fear no evil from him pushes everybody back. LG still can't quite make the push.
Complete disengage here. Fury is up, both teams looking for it. Worth noting, this time Obshard comes before Spear of the Magus. Snoopy knows he's looking for connection on the ultimate.
Nice Sacred Monkey toss there from Panitom, but doesn't choose to teleport to it. Lasbra is way over in right, considering a bout with Haddix, but he's down 2 levels. I doubt he'd be able to get much damage done there. So the rest of the squad pulls Primal Fury. They've got the confirm, but actually they don't. Snoopy's ultimate not up. This is not particularly guaranteed for LG if they just want a 50-50. They look to leash the objective and take the fight here instead.
Xalia's going to go into the ultimate, look for the back line, and a nice jump away from Sheento, but grabbed up by Lasbra. That's one dead mid laner.
He is already very, very low. Sheento low as well, and Lasbra gets taken care of him with those dot damage, but in comes the overhand smash. Even still, it's not enough. They finally clean him up, but Lasbra buys a ton of time for the squad.
Snoopy's still alive. The Primal Fury down 25%. Eonic's here. There's the confirmation. And LG grabbed the Fury.
And Haddix is right there to try and contest. They couldn't get in range in time. Panitom gonna stick to Snoopy, but Eonic's there with the taunt. Joshy there for follow-up. Fear No Evil and I believe B tend to come out to keep Panitom alive, trying to over-aggress.
Yeah, nice job there from Panitom. I think some lesser junglers go, I use my ultimate, better follow up and get those kills. Good discipline for him to realize he had overextended and dropped it, walked away. 2,000 gold lead, 3,000 gold lead here for LG at the moment, and that is where they were before. So Sanguine obviously lose that fight, but at the end of the day, no harm, no foul. Primal will grab a 7% buff on the guys from LG, and that is worth noting, but not exactly the Mayan 2012.
And trading Lasbra for Sheento likely will be viable for them going forward. Sheento so important here to Sanguine in terms of their range damage. I think that's another big part of why Ronngyu was able to stay alive so much last game, is that even from Saint D, Sheento had plenty of follow-up damage to make it hard for them to overcommit. The same is true here in game number 2 with this Merlin. So if Lasbra ends up falling, but in trade they take out Sheento, that's probably going to work for LG going forward.
Yeah, Sheento is devastating. Sheento is one of the guys that everybody's looking at.
Yep.
We all know it. The player damage certainly tells the same story. Number 2 on his team. Fire trying to start again.
It's at about half HP. Ronngyu goes right for Snoopy in the backline. Does not save the ultimate for the combo here this time. Haddix right in the thick of things, fighting with Xaliea and Eonic. But LG body language shows more that they're trying to disengage than engage, and they'll fall back.
You know, I misheard you there. You said body language. I heard party language, and that's what these teams are looking to do. This has been a melee for the past 5 minutes. Everybody just fighting.
And everybody looking to party. Pyromancer thought of, but dropped, like the friends didn't really want to show up in the first place. But I say dropped, saying he'll come back in and grab it. A nice little bounty there for them. Nothing to celebrate too hard over, but a nice little bounty.
And those are the small plays that Sanguine needs to piece together, though. This is a patchwork. This is going to be a patch. But, I mean, last game was a patchwork win. Finch, they're going to start Fire Giant on their own terms.
Yeah, something has truly changed the calculus. Maybe it's that Eonic's ultimate's down, and they know that's a lot of the initiation here for LG, so they feel themselves favored. Ronngyu doesn't have his ultimate either, but still some strong tools available as Eonic looks for a couple of knockups. Joshy comes in with a Living Nightmare. Xaliea and his ultimate, he chases Ronngyu out. One last knockup, it's not there for them, but he does get some spit, but there's the big Fear No Evil, and the ultimate from Snoopy doesn't quite hit home the way you wanted.
Now, everybody on Sanguine are low, but Xalia's ultimate was a little early. This is honestly bad for both teams. Sanguine seemed to have the lead. Joshy, though, turns it around and puts down Haddix.
Ronngyu gets all the way back there to Snoopy, but Snoopy gets the peel that he needs. That's 2. Only for Lasbra in favor here of LG so far, but the health bars are so low, there's no way they can stick around.
Nah, Sheento, go in, baby. Where's the vision? Does Sanguine have any vision? It just got taken out. Sheento, yeah, that's the better choice.
Yeah.
That's the better choice.
They were low though, man. If Sheento gets in there, drops an ult and some fire stance damage, maybe he does turn that one around. But this is I like this line where he's alive.
I like the other one. I want to see him go in, give everybody the business, and just Sheento! That's what I'm looking for. But
you guys are missing out on 80% of this, which is all of Tom's body language, by the way. I get the front row seat to the show. LG back in position now, but no Aegis available here for Snoopy, no beads for Eonic. This is risky as they start the FG. Panitom has the Fear No Evil. They're locking down Eonic. That's a lot of damage, and Netrioid removes the support early. And they're able to secure the Fire Giant, yes, even with a bit early ultimate there from Snoopy. But Sanguine knows that they've got the advantage. Joshy takes down Ronngyu. It's 1-for-1.
Now, Joshy is
Snoopy
going to continue. Snoopy's gone, though. Netrioid with a good dive, but 2 for Joshy, 3 for Joshy. This man's on a tear, 7-0-0 by himself.
But he can't make it to the sky. He does end up falling on the tail end. Lasbra looking for Sheento, has the damage, and that means it ends up being a 3-for-4. LG come out on top, plus the FG, but with just Lasbra and Xaliea, they're not going to be able to get that much off the back of this. Though Lasbra does want to keep chasing Panitom. He wants a kill here.
3. I thought Panitom was going to go in for it. Didn't have the cooldown on his overhand smash. Lasbra has the ambush. Panitom waiting for the cooldown. So jump is strong, and that should be the end of the chase there. Man. Joshy.
He had a great fight.
Have you ever seen a man will himself to a victory? This is Joshy
Yes.
sitting here going, I have spent so much time in this damn studio. We are going to get a win,
They've been
boys.
here all day, man.
7 kills out of 11. He's going to get himself a Slurpee after this one. Like, straight up, he has been performing extravagantly, and that's what Luminosity need, because we talked about Lasbra being kind of quiet, and in game number 1, Snoopy stood up and was like, everybody, look at me, hear me roar. And Joshy going, all right, Snoopy, you're 2-1-7. I guess it's my turn. King Kong ain't got nothing on me, and he's pulling it out right now. LG need to channel this. They need to let this man do the work. Because Joshy, I mean, nobody's playing the way he is right now. Top net worth, the player damage looks similar, and he's just been bringing it home. When you have a player playing like this, there's no X's and O's. You just have him go in.
And this has been a good game as Ronngyu has already found himself a target, looking to pull back some viable people for the rest of Sanguine to lock down. Haddix in some trouble as well. We heard the Fear No Evil go off there from Panitom as he looked for a target himself, but LG up until now have stayed alive and relatively healthy as they start to fall back. In fact, Oni Fury is all theirs.
Misplay by Sanguine. I would have liked to see them be a little bit more aggressive. Xaliea has a decent ultimate that time around. The last fight, it was way too early. Unlike Haddix's performance last game in game number 1 was much cleaner. Just the decision-making on when to ult was almost impeccable. Here, Xalia's kind of had some issues in these team fights, but that right there, that's a classic solo lane situation where your team's 30 yards behind you, doing the Gold Fury or whatever objective it is, and you're out there pushing all your buttons to make sure nobody can get really out and harass your teammates. That was a good one from Xaliea. So a redemption shot there for the player out of Sweden.
A nice fight from him. Joshy considering going aggressive. And yes, they are. Eonic makes the play over the wall. That forces Netrioid into the ultimate. Eonic takes a few extra tower shots, expecting the team to be there, but now they've grouped up. Netrioid a bit more vulnerable without that airstrike.
Well, he's going to be right back to town, no problem. Lasbra, though, great pathing. Does have the option to go over the wall. Panitom has given him a little bit more real estate than I think Sanguine would have liked.
Certainly know what's going on here is LG looking to force down this tier 2. Or they did get FG, but it's only on Xaliea and Lasbra. That does not add a ton here for the squad.
Also, don't forget, LG have Oni Fury as well, so those waves will be kicking.
And Lasbra trying to split push here in mid, gets the attention of both Panitom and Sheento, and the Fear No Evil. I know he died there, but he actually got a lot for his time.
And LG...
They couldn't capitalize.
That is a rough moment to be sure, because we've been asking Lasbra to be the disruptor. We've been asking Lasbra to get the ultimates. We've been asking Lasbra to draw the attention of the opposition. And there he does it. He gets 2 players to shade over to him. He gets a Fear No Evil, which is the ultimate that has been destroying Luminosity Gaming. And they can't take the 4-on-3 under the tier 2 tower. Sheento, Ronngyu, sure, there's a lot going on there. But I would have liked to see Luminosity just brute force it and slam every password. That's the shot you've got to take, because Lasbra put it on the line.
Yeah, Xaliea steals that one. And to me, that's a communication thing. Either LG are not ever planning on getting that tier 2, no matter what their number advantage is over there, or they are trying to brute force, and you got to move in when Lasbra makes that opportunity for you. I mean, I know he still dies, he doesn't get beats or anything that great out of that fight, but still, he bought some time for them. So it makes me think they really weren't all that committed, as Sheento is being committed on here and right. That's both sets of relics. Xaliea cuts off the escape path for him, and he's gonna have to be the one that dunks on him. They get a critical kill taking care of Sheento.
That's the tip in. Joshy did all the work there and just gotcha, buddy. Xaliea shows up and is able to do that. Netrioid is hard committed to this tier 2. Sanguine don't want to interact with this advanced fire giant.
Yeah, this time it has to be LG that make this worth it for them. It's really only Haddix that's nearby in order to stop them from getting this enhanced fire giant. 31 minutes into the game. There's the ultimate from Snoopy, the fire giant secured for LG. But what about Netrioid? He's still threatening here in the left. Grabs the tier 2 backs, about the best they could ask from him.
That's going to be rough, you know, and a lot of times I ask players to, you know, throw your life away. Just go for the crazy boy steal. Yeah, I'm not going to ask that against the Kukulkan. Kukulkan, one of the best characters in the game when it comes down to objective denial, objective secure, depending on which way you're looking at it. Haha, I'm a pessimist. You're looking at him, you're looking at ISIS. You just can't contest. So there's no reason to ask Haddix to get his knees dirty there. Just go ahead, walk away, ain't no thing. Collect your 1,500 from the tier 2 and celebrate as best you can.
And now it's LG's turn to start looking for the siege. They were already over at the tier 2 earlier with their first fire giant, but they lost a lot of it off Snoopy, Eonic, and Joshy, so they weren't able to get much value. This time, it should be a much easier push than the enhanced version of the fire giant. You don't need minions nearly as much in order to make this push happen. They got to make a play.
Nice jump for jump. Take a look at the itemization here. Panitom, very oddball. Game number 1, playing Naja, who can be played a myriad of different ways, but raw damage befits it, didn't go that way. Panitom here goes raw damage on a character who is best used utility. Odd. Sanguine on the defense.
Eonic goes right to the backline looking for Panitom. Ronngyu goes for Snoopy. They bring him down to half HP, but still no full-on commit. That's the airstrike, though, from Netrioid. Lasbra is the one that got in there and forced that out. Fear no even for Panitom, but Lasbra escapes that one, too. Not a bad fight from him at all, but Panitom goes right back, but can't get to him. Lasbra puts him in the dirt.
That's the idea with the build. You gotta go in deep, but you gotta get that kill. Luminosity does a great job. Head on a swivel. Whap! As soon as the monkey teleports to the sacred monkey, down the monkey goes.
Oh, it's a trap.
PvVT.
Oh, this is a trap, and I don't know that Sanguine have recognized it. The whole of LG were waiting, but Haddix undeterred. He knows who the primary target is, and he removes the worm from the equation, and LG suddenly spring a trap on themselves.
Do you remember how game 1 ended?
Man, that was so long ago, and the whole day's a blur. Remind me.
LG sat behind a corner waiting for Sanguine to haphazardly Scooby-Doo walk past them, and Sanguine went, no, and then they killed them and took the game. Now, the positioning here from LG was a little bit better. Worst case scenario, at least they're on the opponent's side of the map. I'm just saying, LG. Fool me once.
I wonder if the Jormungandr there kind of messes that one up, right? I mean, there is a ward over there as well, too, so, you know, maybe there was never really any chance of it. But when you think about it, they'll either see him over the wall or they'll hear him when he pops up, and the timing wasn't perfect, or he had to pop up sooner, so maybe LG had to spring the trap a little sooner than they would have liked. It all comes down to seconds or inches or margins in these games between these top 2 teams, but that's how we find the best of the best to send them over to World to double Elium bracket. We're not settling for anything better than the best of the best here.
You got to look for. You got to find the ups and downs. Right now, Sanguine are looking for the ups and downs. Despite their best efforts, this has not been a bad game by them by any stretch of the imagination, but they're still down. 8,500 gold here.
This week has thrown my assessment of the value of an 8,000 gold lead, by the way. I mean, it's felt like it hasn't mattered how far teams are ahead. Everyone's just holding on as Ronngyu goes to the backline, gets the beats from Snoopy, big ultimate, hits Haddix and Netrioid, way in the backline, and Lasbra biding his time, blinks in with the last breath. That removes Snoopy. Fear no evil is good to dissect the team fight, but Xaliea still alive even now.
Lasbra's looking to play cleanup, and he is too good to be a janitor. I need to see more initiation from him. The mindset from Ronngyu was there, and it was nice. but you need to see more bead strippage. Panitom needs to be the first one. Ronngyu is single target, Panitom is multi-target. What needs to happen, what's happening right now is Ronngyu is going in, grabbing Snoopy, Snoopy pops beads, and then Panitom thinks he can get him after the fact. That's why Panitom is built full damage here in order to delete the mid lane mage. But I think what really needs to happen, what I would like to see change here is Panitom to be the one that gets the flank, drops the Fear No Evil, walks away empty-handed, so that Sanguine can grab that individual target with Ronngyu and put them down, because what they've been doing so far hasn't worked, and I think it has to do with the fact that Ronngyu is only stripping one set of beads at a time.
It's just not as strong as the Horus was. This Fenrir, I feel like, in the late game, it's done some good stuff, and Sanguine are certainly still in it, but just doesn't quite feel the same here for this LG squad. They've got to figure something out. They've gotten 2 Fire Giants here this game, and what have they gotten out of them? One Tier 2, I think, and left? That's half a Tier 2 tower per Fire Giant. At that rate, they'll never be able to end the game, so they got to figure out a way to get more out of these Fire Giants and those pushes afterwards when they get them.
And that's credit to Sanguine. That has been fit. This team has done a fantastic job of playing defense. They're just stopping Luminosity from being aggressive.
They're playing good defense, but at a certain point, I mean, if you want to go to Worlds and beat the teams there, you got to be able to cut through that with the advantage, right? Like
that's an entirely different conversation.
Sure, I mean, I'm just saying that my bar a little bit higher than 2 Fire Giants and 1 Tier 2.
You are absolutely correct, but we will play at Yankee Stadium when we play at Yankee Stadium. Right now, there's a big green monster in front of the way.
Yeah, it can make it hard to find the home run sometimes, as Ronngyu is making it to the back line and gets Snoopy's beads again. He has to full-on disengage on the backside of it, though, and Eonic and Xaliea making the front line that they need to keep them from finding anything more.
Panitom is doing what Lasbra was doing last game, which is not doing it. These junglers need to be more, they need to find their flanks.
See if they can find their window in. LG now looking to try and spring the trap. It's Ronngyu and Haddix. They're looking to lock down. Joshy comes in with the Living Nightmare ultimate as well. But LG really don't find much. So Panitom, Blink, Fear No Evil. It really only gets to Xaliea, and LG make it out.
Target selection is awful here. You're getting the beads out of Snoopy and then ulting not Snoopy. I mean, this is what teams learn to get to the postseason, not what you do in the postseason. I mean, Sanguine are looking sloppy here.
It's been a long day. Maybe that's factoring in, but I don't know that we're seeing quite the best from either squad here so far, or maybe the best of them is just so even that it might look that way. But either way, 38 minutes in, this is still virtually tied. LG do have a significant gold lead, but at this point, the thresholds at which that those gold leads matter have increased so much that even, 8,000, 10,000, nowhere near as impactful as it might have been 20 minutes ago.
Earlier in the game, you asked me which team had the later game squad.
Yes.
And it's Luminosity. If I'm Sanguine, tick-tock, Tempest Fugit. We got to get things going because it's going to get to a point where just Ronngyu is going to be obliterated. I will say, this Pridwin that's coming out for the Fenrir player is beautiful. So the way this works, I'll hold that. As Sanguine are going for the Oni Fury, which would be fantastic, but Snoopy's here and it's going to deter them.
They're not going to be able to get it for free, which I assume is what they would have liked. A lot of the times you'll see teams send one member over while everyone else kind of guards the FG. This time, though, 39 minutes in, we're bringing the whole squad over to fight over this Oni Fury.
It's a big deal. Oni enables the Fire Giant because you give the other team homework and they can't come out of the Friday night. So you're the only one at the club and you bring home the Fire Giant while everybody else dealing with waves.
Lasbra goes for Panitom here on the right-hand side, pulls him back to Snoopy, and they pop him like a pimple. And the rest of LG looking aggressive on the back of that. It's a 5v4 in their favor, and they didn't have to commit much at all there.
That's that flank I was talking about. Just find the pick. Now, just find the pick is obviously easier said than done, but that's exactly what needed to happen. LG have all the space in the world, and they're able to go and grab it.
And the Fear No Evil is a tool that's really, really been a problem for them. If I'm LG, I'm looking to activate this Blink Taunt into Snoopy ultimate combination right away, because the main thorn in that side has been Panitom's Fear No Evil. Meanwhile, Lasbra looking to battle with Netrioid, but I don't know if that's one he's favored in. In fact, Netrioid turns around and fights Joshy too. Bring the whole squad, because Netrioid's here to play.
Yeah, he's got that Wind Demon and the Deathbringer and even the Poison Star.
All in.
Not something we see often. I love the Wind Demon on Jing. I started this conversation about 20 minutes ago because on the oddball crit that you get, it amps you up and you're kind of got crit in that kit. But the other choices, now you're just desperate.
Ronngyu has Blink ulted. Joshy hid in the wall and gets away from it. He never has to use the bead, so Ronngyu on full disengage, but to the same tune, but a different song. LG gave up on the Fire Giant.
Oh.
Blink taunt combination doesn't work at all, and Ronngyu still alive even now.
Big plays though. Ronngyu baits out Snoopy's ultimate. Support goes down. Joshy credit for it, but the mid lane mage has no ult.
They locked him down inside the tornado. Good work to finally punish the dog here this time, and LG come back towards Fire Giant, but they don't have the confirm without Snoopy's ultimate. I don't know how comfortable they are trying to pull an enhanced Fire Giant with 4 members of Sanguine here staring them in the face.
It's gonna be tough. It definitely will be a tough one. Ronngyu did his job, and that means that LG can't go for the Fire Giant in and of it just like that. The Pridwin is finished, and this will extend that Fenrir late game. Lolo's Mask, I'll just put it out there. Maybe in place of the boots. But the Pridwin is interesting. So when Fenrir goes into the ultimate, he gets a ton of protections. And the way Pridwin works is it takes your protections and does a bunch of math and turns that into a shield that blows up and slows up and does some damage as well. But the amplified protections are taken into account when they use the ultimate.
Fire Giant secured now by LG, and Sanguine really not home at all that time when the delivery man came to knock on the door. So Sanguine, or rather LG, just pick up the package. And he's still got 2 tier 2 towers to clear out, the one in mid and the one in right. And if they keep up the same pace from last time, that's another half a tier 2 on the menu. I imagine they'll be able to do a little bit better than that this time.
I think so as well. I think the team has a little bit more oomph behind their swings at the moment. Snoopy is going to be able to maybe even take the tower by himself. Shout out to Polynomicon. And just like that, here's the crumble.
I also think there's just less premium on these tier 2 towers, so Sanguine's not going to come out and defend them nearly as much. That's the last of them down. A little bit extra gold in the pockets of LG, but way more about opening up these Phoenixes to start getting into this base. And we haven't even really seen much Phoenix defense here yet this game. Ronngyu goes right for Snoopy and gets the beads. He's done it all game long, and yet again, Snoopy's beads now on cooldown.
Panitom needs to find Snoopy. That is the win condition, at least for this team fight. Not the game, but that's the win condition for this team fight. Snoopy needs to get CC'd and put down.
Eonic, the one that blinks in this time. 2-man taunt on a Ronngyu and an Netrioid, but Haddix is the target. He goes forward and starts to melt. Lasbra puts the last breath on him, but it's not enough. Snoopy goes to the Hail Mary ultimate over the wall. That doesn't find him, so Xaliea finally does, but they commit everything in the handbook to make that one happen.
Eonic's a little low, but so is Ronngyu. The tower, healthy as a horse.
At this point, it really hasn't taken any damage at all, and I don't know if LG have any more tricks in the bag to try and make this push happen. Sanguine steadfast in their defense.
Panitom has ultimate still. Snoopy has no beads still. Saying, there's a math problem there.
This is going to be a difficult push now for LG. They give up on the right lane and push over towards mid. Looks like they might just be done with this push altogether, and I think I agree. No beads for Snoopy, no Aegis for Joshy, all their ultimates on cooldown. They probably gonna need some time before they can try and push back into Sanguine here yet again. But what is going wrong on these pushes for LG, or what's going right for Sanguine on these defenses?
I mean, really, that one was Haddix going a little bit too deep, withdrew the ire of Luminosity. Luminosity kind of lost sight of their goal and went to take down the solo laner instead of anything else.
Maybe committed a bit too much. Snoopy gets the ultimate off before he gets pulled.
They did it!
Fear No Evil locks Snoopy down this time. Lasbra looks for Panitom, and Joshy finds the big shots that blows up the Ewan bots. Xaliea takes to the ultimate looking for Netrioid, but he should make it back to the fountain this time, so he'll have to rejoin the squad under the Phoenix. But the rest of LG in some trouble. They need some peel.
There's going to be help from Sanguine. The mid lane Phoenix still stands. The defensive set is good. Sanguine finally grabbed Snoopy. They finally did it. They finally got it. Listen.
I'm listening.
You ever You ever watched that, those elaborate machines? There's a word for it. Rune Glifbert is a skateboarder.
Yeah, Rube Goldberg.
There it is, yeah. Rube Goldberg. It's like an elaborate Rube Goldberg machine to do something mundane, right? Like, well, if you drop this marble here, 37 different stages, and then it butters my toast, right? Like, Sanguine are looking for too complicated. I mean, on the base level, it's very simple. Grab Snoopy twice and kill him. But at a high level, identifying a backline member, grabbing him with a Fenrir is more difficult. There's a lot more variables and a lot more stages to go for it. This device is too complicated for what they're trying to do. They finally did the thing. 45 minutes in, they finally did the thing. I maintain that Sanguine, Snoopy is the right target, but the way they're going about it is the wrong way. Haddix isn't on a character that can actually, like, you know, he's not tier. He's not going to bring Snoopy with him. It's up to Panitom, and Lasbra has been doing a good job of keeping Panitom out of there, but I think Panitom could be a little bit sneakier, slip past the security, and drop that Fear No Evil.
There's just not enough CC here, man. I mean, how is Joshy ever going to be able to get his damage off at a sustained point in this fight, right? I mean, I understand the combo between Lasbra, or not Lasbra, but Eonic and Snoopy is really, really strong. But like I keep saying, it might be time for Page 2 because they have to commit everything whenever Eonic finds even one taunt because there won't be a second round of reliable CC here for the squad. And what they really, really need is for Joshy to be able to get in range to get off multiple hits onto consecutive targets. And he just isn't really able to get in range for it.
Yeah, that's the deal. Joshy's the guy here. Joshy is the man that you have to set up. Snoopy is going to be targeted, which means Joshy is going to be able to free cast to a certain extent. You've got to take advantage of that. Joshy has been able to get 1 or 2 kills, and then Sanguine kind of refocuses. Haddix is out. Haddix has been active, but Xaliea has been doing a good job of chasing down stragglers. Ronngyu is jumping to the front. Joshy should be able to put down 1 or 2 players on team fight.
Looks like some late game pots picked up here for Snoopy, so I don't know that damage has really been his problem here this game, but he'll have a bit more of it. Fire Giant being started. This would be the 4th one of the game if LG were to grab it. The first one for Sanguine if they could. Ronngyu goes right to the back line. Can't find Joshy or Snoopy this time. Fear No Evil forces Eonic off the objective, and it's half HP, but Ronngyu gets shredded too far, too deep on his own.
Yeah, that was, you just wait. There's no reason for him to be that far away from the team. Again. Panitom shows up
And let's step on the gas, fellas. I feel like they've not been able to capitalize on these advantages. Enhanced Fire Giant and the 5v4. This isn't a situation where they're favored. They gotta be able to convert these into some numbers in this next push.
Now, a lot of time, Luminosity has been kind of sitting on their hands here. They've been trepidatious about walking into these Phoenixes because of the threat of the Ragnarok. With Ronngyu down for 39 seconds, this is a nice opportunity for Luminosity to stay aggressive. They have the 5-on-4 power play. Eonic's gonna go in right now.
Snoopy still has beats as well, so he'll have some safety for this fight, but Joshy doesn't, so he'll have to play a bit further back. No Bleak for Panitom, and no Fear No Evil just yet. So they still have some time for them to worry about that cooldown, but still slow and steady as now Lasbra goes in right for Netrioid in the back line, drops the last breath. That's it for the right side Phoenix. Panitom finds a big Fear No Evil, but LG have already gotten the objective, and they might be surging even further forward. Eonic goes right on in, as does Joshy, but Sanguine make it back to their fountain.
Now the pullback from Luminosity is big and important. This could be very bad. Sanguine looking for the re-engage, as they should. Netrioid coming up forward, can't make it over the wall. Another chase into the jungle. Xaliea properly positioned. Sanguine still chasing.
They definitely like there more because Haddix is TPing to a ward in the backline. Snoopy can't quite find anything with that big time ultimate, but they're in a fight here now. Snoopy falls first to Panitom. Eonic quite low as well. Xaliea has TP'd back in, but now he's stuck in the backline. He doesn't have an ultimate either. He's got to get kills because there's no way back out, but Xaliea falls as well. Sanguine have now claimed 2 lives of their own.
It's not enough to win the game, but it certainly will be at least that tier 2 tower. Yeah, no, okay. Players are already gone. They're going to walk up mid. They're going to look for the tower. They, of course, being Sanguine. Haddix with the teleport. Oh, muy bonito. That's what you want to see. The absolute cutoff. Haddix with the big brain plays. That enables Sanguine to find it. And boy, the repositionment. Woo! Ha! Caliente!
Certainly seemed to catch LG off guard in that last fight, and Sanguine punished them summarily for it. And LG were stuck in another in-between spot where they finally made the call to play aggressive. It's been like 49 minutes of them waiting to have the advantage, and they end up chasing all the way to the fountain and getting basically nothing for it. And Sanguine punished them properly on their retreat path. This could be trouble for Lasbra. He does find Panitom in the jungle and get his beads.
Beads are good.
And so he's able to reposition.
Beads are so good that it will deter the tier 2 tower push.
My goodness.
Oh, Maron. That one's not Spanish. But geez Louise. I mean, that. Oof. Sanguine's got to feel good about... blink for blink. Sanguine's got to feel good about the defensive set. Joshy goes in, gets the Fear No Evil.
And you gotta understand, man, why these teams are playing so cautiously, why it comes down to such thin margins. Sanguine has a chance here to keep their world's hopes alive. You go home when you lose this game. They've got an extra life if they lose this, so they can come back for that very next game. But this set is it for one of these teams. Someone's going home, and you can kind of feel that urgency. You can feel that tension with the way that they're playing. Fire Giant still for another 30 seconds for LG, so it looks like they're going to consider a left side push.
It's only on Lasbra, Eonic, and Joshy, but those are the guys you want.
They go in right away. Ronngyu responds with a Ragnarok. Xaliea is inside the World Serpent ultimate and looking for the disruption. He does keep Sheento busy in the back, but Eonic is quite low. That might spell the end for this push for LG.
Yeah, that's got to be it. Xaliea does some good zoning, but again, not with the rest of the team. Eonic got pummeled, by the way. He really got beat up. The Magi's cloak is saving his life. Battle of Discord also providing some good CC immunity. Now the Primal Fury. That's just that is unfortunate, as some would say. Sanguine here got the great defensive stop. They couldn't get the tier 2 tower because they just didn't have the numbers immediately. So it looked like, well, at least they can get the Gold Fury, but or the Primal Fury, which would have been very advantageous at this stage of the game. But it was 30 seconds left to respawn, which was just long enough for Luminosity to come back out of the base. Sanguine get their base back with their defensive stop. And although it looked like there'd be more on the menu for them to grab after that, they weren't able to. But one more time, we find ourselves at parity. Fire Giant can be defended by Sanguine, and it should be. Ronngyu thankfully gets out of there. But with the right side Phoenix respawning, Fire Giant respawning, Snoopy is a threat, but Sanguine can take a fight.
You gotta wonder if maybe the lack of these team fighting relics is starting to hurt LG a bit as Fire Giant gets started. No frenzies, no shells to aid them in this big push they're trying to make. Fire Giant already low. This would be the 5th of the game. Xaliea has to ult. He takes a ton of damage to the front line, but Ronngyu goes in and melts like paper. I don't know what he saw there, but he gets blown up.
Yeah, no. No. Failure. Wrong. Destruction. That's not what you do. Ronngyu by himself, I don't know, maybe he's leaving the band and starting a solo career. You're not there with your teammate. You're not there. You're trying to contest the Kukulkan. You're not full HP. Everything about that was wrong. Arguably lost the game. Sanguine have to defend without their support player here, as the opponent has enhanced Fire Giant.
I'd agree with you if this was 30 minutes ago, but this is LG's like 6-5 on 4. I don't know, man. I don't know what they need to make one of these work.
Well, the best look that LG has had at this base has been when Ronngyu was in the penalty box.
Sure.
So with him gone for another half a minute, here we go again, just like last time.
Let's see if LG can find a way to crack the code and open up this safe here in game number 2. Eonic goes right for Netrioid and pulls him in, but this time they hold the trigger on Snoopy's ultimate. That's right side Phoenix cleanly taken.
Crack the code, like the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, that's what I meant, sure.
Yeah. Luminosity gaming, like angels and demons, kinda.
Okay.
They're gonna find the Holy Grail, kinda.
Well, let's see if they can make it in there. I don't know that much about the Da Vinci Code to help you out, but they've already got the mid-Phoenix quite low. Joshy gets hit by the Fear No Evil, but they need more structure damage on this Phoenix. Finally, it falls. Ultimate from Snoopy doesn't quite hit home as Lasbra keeps too busy, but LG have grabbed 2 Phoenixes and are now on the run.
This is the way they have to do it. The idea that they're gonna take a Phoenix, take the fight, take the Titan, yeah, that's yesterday's news. That's not happening. We are going to meticulously dismantle this structure. Right side burn, mid side burn. Now, honestly, you got 2 minutes left on the Fire Giant. Go for the left side. Walk up this lane, kind of old school style. Back to base, re-heal, and just do it again.
More potions picked up here as well. A 3K pot there for Snoopy, so he can get a little bit more damage going his way in these next few fights. He's got a Magai's Cloak there for himself, too, to add a little bit of extra life for him alongside those purification beads. He's going to need every bit of that help because he's just clearly the focus.
Sheento, Staff of Mirrodin.
Again.
I stand corrected. I did say that it takes proper planning to make this item work on the Merlin. And with the way this one works out, Sanguine do have the time to plan. They walked out of their base. This could be a bad thing. Luminosity Gaming walking into Sanguine
and
here.
Lasbra has the loop around. He's going to catch him on the back, blink in, and he's made Netrioid the target. Big knock up there from Xaliea. Fear no evil does cut everything off, but with Netrioid low, maybe LG can keep up the pressure. Xaliea and Eonic move in first. There's the pin as well, and there's some decent damage. Lasbra tries to get to the back line, but that's it for the left side Phoenix. All three Phoenixes down in favor of LG.
The dismantelization, the destruction, the ultimate. Luminosity Gaming here on the retreat. Again, Sanguine, I would like you to chase. Everybody's low, but it is what it is. All three Phoenixes down, 44 seconds left on the Fire Giant buff. I don't back you.
If you're LG.
I think no, it's the right call.
Yeah, they're low. They're not quite in that position to make their push just yet. They want this Magai's Cloak back up for Snoopy as well. So they'll take some time, head back to base. Not nearly as much stuff to buy as there would have been 30 minutes ago, but still, you want to refresh, come back out and make another push. Fire Giant going to fall off in 15 seconds, so they'll grab their 6th Fire Giant of the game. And so there's 5 minutes between spawns of the Fire Giant, right? So we're at bare minimum 30 minutes just from looking at that number. You could tell how long we've been in this match, and Eonic wants to try and put this one to bed. He's aggressive on the left-hand side. Snoopy right there for the follow-up, but Sanguine respond perfectly by grouping up.
I don't know if you even wait for the Fire Giant, to be honest with you, John. Sanguine have to defend all 3 of these Phoenixes, which is going to spread them out a little bit. LG love to kind of set this trap type deal, group up as a death ball, and ward up these back alleys, and then see where Sanguine split up, and then walk up the lane. Then as a group of 5, you'll have the threat of the Winions coming in from the sides. Could be a strategy worth taking a look at.
Could be enough here for this LG team. Like you said, they do favor this sort of wait and see if you'll bait or step out too far from your Phoenix, but they are very spread out for this. They do not have Joshy or Lasbra here. Now, Joshy can join the fray quickly, but what about Lasbra? As he's way off on his lonesome. He had a great wraparound play on that left side lane fight they had. Maybe he's looking to replicate that magic.
Could be. Chaos Titan taking a little bit of damage, but the Phoenix is respawning now. Fire Giant. All right, it'll be quick enough, because that was my concern. That's why I was saying maybe LG should just forget the Fire Giant because of the respawnage of the Phoenixes, but they're able to do it quick enough. The right side bird is going to be under duress, and hopefully for LG and their fans, they're able to get in very, very quickly. We'll see what the difference is, though, as they walk on in here.
Fear no evil does find 2 members, but Panitom catches a ton of damage from Joshy. That time Sheento is low as well, and Xaliea moving in. So is Joshy. They want to try and take care of this one. Right side Phoenix has already been removed, as has Panitom, as has Sheento. Lasbra is the one that gets the last credit, but Netrioid not ready to give it up. He finds a big kill in the Joshy, but there's already fire minions in the Titan room. LG with 4 members and all 3 Phoenixes down, still biding their time for them to make the move in, but Ronngyu comes around. They shut down Lasbra.
What a stun coming out from the support, and the follow-up from Netrioid.
Haddix falls there as well. It's just Ronngyu and Netrioid, the dual lane of old, to defend up against 3 members, and fire minions coming in from every conceivable lane here as well. Ronngyu half HP, and he must fall back. LG have been so patient this game, but will they finally make the move in to try and end this now? Titan below half, Titan down to a quarter, and LG grab game number 2. We're going the full distance on day number 4.
The damage from Snoopy, too much to handle on the Titan. Almost an hour's worth of play. Well done by Luminosity Gaming here. Sanguine, man. The defense is strong, and the old adage is that defense wins championships, but there's something else to be said when you are always on the defensive. Sanguine need to figure out how to get momentum of their own.
They have been struggling up until this point right now, it feels like, to get in control in these games. They've done a decent job falling back, playing defensive, as you've said, but felt as though, aside from Ronngyu maybe going in and getting a grab onto Eonic or Snoopy, there wasn't much else to the game plan beyond that, and eventually LG were able to break through.
Listen, like I said, I was very critical about Panitom and his flanks, or lack thereof, the ability for the jungler. They just need to be more creative.
Sure.
There's a lot there with that draft. It seems rather simple. All we can do is look for Ronngyu. That's not the correct view. They need to be deeper. They need to be more creative. Sanguine need to figure out, like you were saying, you were using the book analogy, find pages 2, 3, 4.
That's what they're going to need. They're going to turn this around. That's the end of game number 2, but we got one last game here to close out the day on the next side of this break.
Welcome back. We're still here, baby. We're going to be here even longer. What is happening in the studio, man? This is the product of the 12-hour day, and we got more to go. As Lasbra said to me as he was walking, he had the audacity to look at me and say, "It's going to be a long night." And he was right. Aggro, joined by Kabam. Kabam, the games are still happening.
Yeah.
That took a full hour long.
Yeah.
And the exact same game plan happened from minute 1 to minute 59.
Right.
It was Erlang taunt into Kukulkan.
Yeah, before we even break this down, I just want to bring us back to, we were talking to the teams before we got into the set, and we were promised that they would be running it down, and it'd be pretty quick.
Yeah.
Wait
a minute.
I am unfamiliar with what we consider quick, but it has been a really long time since that was said to me.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, huh?
Yeah, I'm not feeling great about it.
Yeah, roughly 2 hours ago at the very least. But
moving on though, Snoopy is a beast.
Yeah, he's sick, man.
That is my conclusion after watching that set. He is breathing all sorts of dragons all over the place. There was like one time at the very end where he just kind of flicked it into the wall, and it would have been super cool if Panitom had actually TP'd to it.
That's right. Panitom had his life flash before his eyes for sure, but Joshy had a big game. He finishes with over a dozen kills. Xaliea on the Yorm, such a bigger impact than he had on that King Arthur. But how about Sanguine in this defense, man? I mean, Sheento just plays so well on that Merlin. It feels like it's impossible for him to play the game. By the way, we can roll that replay. That's 6 minutes, okay? So add 52 to that, and we should be right back towards the end. I mean, this game was so much about one pick happening for Luminosity and then Sanguine ending up defending 5v4 very well.
Yeah, I think that overall I'm really impressed with the rest of the roster from LG stepping up after that first game. I think Snoopy had like a spine-breaking game that ended up just being too much, and this game Joshy really showed up. I really feel like Xaliea carried his weight as well. I don't know. If you're in a comp against Fenrir and you don't have like all your boys helping you out, it's going to be a really miserable game for you. So I think that if they didn't do that, they weren't going to make it through this game. Sorry.
In Lasbra, I mean, to play Serqet in a 60-minute game is a nightmare I wish upon no man. But he plays well. He had a sick play on a Phoenix defense roughly 6 years ago where he interrupted an overhand smash. Maybe that was in my last lifetime and I have been reborn. It's impossible to say at this point, but overall, here's what we do know. We can recap for you here on the desk. We got one more game to play.
It's true.
And one team has one more game to play this entire year, and then it will all be over for them. The winner of this, here's the crazy part. The winner of this gets to go home, hit the sheets right away, hopefully, and then immediately wake up tomorrow and play a best of 5 to make it to the SMITE World Championship.
Yeah, good for them, I think, is my assessment on that one.
Yeah, and then there are 2 teams they can play, Splice or Rival. Good luck is what I say to that, but hey, man.
Or not. You guys don't need that, maybe.
Yeah, Kabam's like, yeah, whatever, it'll be easy for you. It's completely sandbagging over here. These, I mean, can you imagine? Sanguine played at 11 a.m. today, Kabam.
They did.
That was 11 hours ago.
Right.
That's too
Math
far
works
away.
out that way for sure.
That is too far away. The gap is too large. These guys have had to stay locked in this whole time.
Yep.
That has got to be super hard. I mean, I hear Scream complain to me about whenever they get here because they think a set's going to be over, and then they have to wait for an hour for the set to be over.
Maybe not the most realistic comparison to make. Scream, after about an hour and a half, is pretty much checked out mentally, physically, and overall spiritually.
Right. I hear him say, go next, and I immediately want to leave.
Right, exactly. You load in, you get about a minute into the game, somebody's at speed buff. Nothing's really even happened to it yet, and he's just decided that we should perhaps consider going to the next game.
Well, it's a nice thought by him, but we can't go to the next game here because there's only one more to go. What do you know? Sanguine first ban Kukulkan. That makes sense to me. That math checks out. But LG, this is the first time they've been in second picks so far. I think that this is going to be a pretty telling picks and bans. I wonder that I just don't know that we see enough of trading these top picks. I mean, second pick seems like they're at such a big disadvantage right now by having to ban Isis and Persephone that I don't know that I feel like I might just start throwing it all to the wind and say, you can take Persephone or Isis and we'll get the other one and something else good and feel okay about it.
Yeah, it can be. I think what it comes down to is Persephone is like a super strong pick, but it is like comparatively to Isis, it is way more execution heavy. They're way more situational. So to make the pick as effective, you have to put in like, let's just give a rough number of like 100 times more effort than the Isis to have the same impact.
Sure.
And then you have issues like Isis is super good at securing Gold Fury or Fire Giant. Persephone can be, but you run into issues where if you're planting your garden and you jump it, if there's anyone near that garden, the plants just run anywhere other than where you want them to, and the damage does not happen to the objective, and you do not get it.
Well, Persephone's open, and Sanguine get it. LG decided to ban the Thor instead, and Persephone is the pick. Most likely for Sheento. Don't think that really feels like a Netrioid god to me. Sanguine ban the things that Xaliea has been very good on, the Amaterasu and the Yorm, and the Kukulkan. I think that that's a perfect first 3 bans for Sanguine. And now if you're Luminosity, do you put Xaliea back on that King Arthur? I mean, if you've got a pocket pick, now's the time with your back against the wall.
For Camelot!
They do go back to that King Arthur.
Yeah.
Set's open, and we saw Snoopy play it in ADC earlier on today against Anunster, but it didn't really go that well for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've seen Snoopy play Merlin as well. I think that might have been a pick that I would have considered. There's also been, like, I think Poseidon gets picked sometimes and Joshy gets thrown in there.
Sure.
There's also On Her if he's going to go. Like, any number of things can happen. But we now have the Jing way, which, sure, that god is just...
Listen, man, I partially blame you, Kabam. You guys have first picked Jingwei before. Am I wrong?
It has happened, yeah. We got flamed pretty immediately for it, so...
That's probably my fault, so I guess I owe you an apology a little bit. But it just feels wrong to me. Like, first picking Jingwei feels wrong. I don't know.
I mean, the thing about the character is she just fits, and, like, she's going to sit there, and she's going to farm, she's going to show up, and she's going to shoot her giant wing autos that are going to crit you, and your jungler's going to ask you what the likelihood of that happening is, and you're going to have to explain to them that there's actually a pretty good chance of them getting crit, and they can die from crits, and they probably should not take the 1v1 versus the person that has like 1,000 gold over them.
But that's when we go next.
But that's when we go next, of course, because that couldn't have happened in a realistic situation, right?
Absolutely not. It's also pretty good against Xingqian and Susano, 2 gods that rely an awful lot on knocking you up.
Yeah.
But Sanguine still go that direction. Their backline dive secured with those 2 picks. Luminosity almost certainly going to look to focus out Haddix. Osiris and Tyr are the other gods he's played so far this weekend. He's also played Thor, but that's also banned. But they decided to take away Netrioid's Freya.
Yep.
Interesting, because that is a good matchup for Jingwei historically, at least on paper, that you don't get banished. But you get out pressured so hard that it's not is that even worth it?
No, like the thought process of I am Jing, so I do not instantly die to the Freya is like completely negated by the fact that I also do not get any of my jungle, or my team can never reliably have me anywhere.
Sure.
So you don't die, which I guess is like pretty sick, but you also do absolutely nothing.
I completely agree. Geb is the pick here for Eonic, so a little bit less set up in the form of Athena and Erlang Shen, but certainly much more protection for Snoopy and Joshy this time around. As Sanguine go to the Achilles for Haddix, and now their last selection is Xaliea in that long lane. We've seen a little bit, at least we expect that, at least I do, seen a little bit of Xaliea mid towards the back half of Phase 2.
Yeah.
Still a really, I mean, if the games are going to go until the end of time, I feel like Sanguine are pretty well prepared for it with the Xaliea, but LG go very early game with the Thanatos. They want to try and end it early, it looks like.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting different vibes. You have a Geb and a Jingwei. And, I mean, Merlin, you really don't want to fight early, because if you do, he has literally no mana.
Right.
So if you're like having to constantly change your forms, you're feeling pretty bad. So you have this Thanatos, you're like, go forth and do things for the first 10 minutes while we try to figure out how we get to level 5. And I think putting that kind of pressure on Lasbra, who I think so far has not shown up as much this set as the other players, I think that's a big ask of him.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely does feel odd, right? It almost feels like you're sprinkling this in and saying, hey, maybe insta-win us the game, please. But if you don't, then we've got all these other really good late-game picks to kind of carry you later on.
I'm also like, I'm a little nervous because it feels like they are thinking that this Geb is going to like shield the person that gets Persephone ulted, and then that's going to be sick. But what if like more than one person gets rooted? And then what if King Arthur gets Persephone ulted and there's no one nearby? He's never going to break himself out.
No,
he takes like 6 seconds to break himself out of that cage. I don't know.
Yeah, that's super dead. This Persephone is going to be hard, man. It just locks down so much of what Luminosity want to do. Does LG need to win early here?
LG needs...
Graham, your house is that way, man. That way.
LG needs to not lose in the first few minutes is my answer to that question, because I really don't think that Sanguine's going to have a hard time. They have Persephone in the late game. They have a really good beads burn in Jing 10. They have Susanoo, who like scales incredibly well. They have an execute on Achilles, and they have the ability to turn off the lights.
Yeah, so I feel like Sanguine's draft is just better.
Yeah, I think if they have this plan versus the Persephone, I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Luminosity maybe have 10 p.m. brain in this game. I mean, the draft isn't horrible by any stretch.
It's not.
It's just too split out. We'll see if it ends up paying off for them, though.
No
matter how long this game is, it's the last one. So don't worry too much, Finch and Tom. Take us to the action.
You can tell Tom must be getting loopy. He said he loved Kabam, right? That can't be right. Let's move on to game number 3 here between Sanguine and LG. The decider match. Loser will be going home. And I know that whoever it is going to take it hard, but after this kind of performance, under these circumstances, I don't see how you can, man. Both these teams are giving us everything they've got right now, and it's hard not to be impressed as Lasbra has left with nothing. I assume that this is not going to last very long.
No, that's his game plan. No items. What up, demons? It's your boy, Tom Battinger and John Finch. And of course, our favorite observer.
Did you do your own second intro? What the hell are you doing, dude? We're really out here, man.
Listen, Pecky's told me he wanted a What Up Demons. So I gave him What Up Demons.
I see. All right, Lasbra.
Welcome to the broadcast.
On the Ninja Tabi, it looks like no Warrior Tabi. Okay. And now he can head on out from base. Looks like the speed will spawn a little bit before he gets there, but no harm, no foul. Now he'll be able to drop those A-OK. And looks like we're not even seeing any invades. I guess it's some kind of agreement to be honorable in this last decider match as everyone handles their own camps.
Well, I mean, there's many different starts that you can look for, and when it comes down to it, you want to find the best approach to the game in front of you. And so you're dealt a different hand every time.
I don't like the look you're giving me right now. No one else knows, but you're up to something. What is this? I don't want to know.
I'm just saying.
No, you are. Yeah, he's giving me the look. This Thanatos, though, they talked about it on the desk, and I want your thoughts on this one, too, here, Tom.
I love him.
I do love the pick, but I don't know here. I mean, he's about the only early game focused god they have. You heard them say maybe it's a bit of a flyer. We'll see if he can get an early game lead. If not, everyone else can handle up. Do you think that's the call here, or do you see something different?
See a couple of things here. Realistically, I think Thanatos, yes, while he is tilted early game, or he's slanted early game, tilted means something different these days. While he's slanted towards the early game, he is still a fine assassin for the rest of the game. He has an execute, which negates Sheento's passive. He's not going to be able to survive the afterlife because of the way the execute works there. So that's a nice interaction as well versus the Persephone particularly. And one of the big things that we saw going on in the last game was a lot of these half and half fights where players would kind of get out. Thanatos going to chase you down. Whether it's by the way of the ultimate or just running him down with the Scent of Death, he will find you.
This could be trouble. Ronngyu goes in first. They've got Snoopy low already. First blood for the LATAM representatives, but Lasbra answers back. And if there's one thing I know about Thanatos, he's not satisfied with the one. Looking for Panitom. Joshy rotates in for backup, and that's two. LG gave up first blood, but they make it a 2-for-1.
Nice exchange there. Lasbra wasn't able to get the first blood like you dream of your Thanatos being able to do, but ain't no harm, no foul. He's able to pick up one and be present for the other. Lasbra and Joshy get the kills. Ain't no thing. Snoopy going down. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Panitom is what I'm afraid of if I'm LG.
Exactly right. And they got the targets, the kills on some good targets in Panitom and Sheento to try and get Lasbra a bit ahead, to try and make sure that Snoopy at least can remain even, because he has had a gigantic target on his back all set long. It's felt like all week long. Whenever anyone's going up against LG, the plan seems to be to make someone besides Snoopy beat you. So that's why LG kind of keeping him relevant is going to be huge.
Snoopy going, oh, right, this is what it's like. Snoopy's been the target since Season 1.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, he's a consistent player. His top side is very, very high. He really, really, really is a threat to any team because of how versatile he is. A lot of times you got to pick one. Either you've got this very wide array of different approaches to the game that you can do, or you're very tall and then you can go really deep on your 3 selection. Nah, Snoopy does it all. Snoopy Ellis have it all. And so that's something that everybody's aware of, and everybody looks at, and everybody targets him because of it.
He's got to make sure that he's able to still have an impact, even if he's the target, up against this Persephone in the hands of Sheento. And I'm so surprised that in this third decider match, they allow such a powerful mid lane player through into the hands of a very strong player, man. I mean, a lot of people say that Sheento might just be the hard carry for Sanguine in a lot of cases. I think that school of thought has changed. Panitom, Ronngyu, Netrioid have played well enough that you won't hear much of that anymore. But my point is that there's so much respect around this player. It's hard to imagine he just wouldn't be prepared to play Persephone, so they must think that this draft has an answer in it.
Well, really, I mean, yes, Sheento is probably the last person that you make this gamble on. But the gamble that your opponent hasn't played Persephone, look, she's banned in every ranked game. She's banned in every scrim. She's banned in every Pro League game. How many times have you actually gotten to play the character, even if you are? I mean, we looked at Pretty Prime, one of the perennial mid laners, and he was like, dog, I don't really know what's up. Paul, the dual main, one of the only guys that knows what's going on here with the Persephone. And so really what it is, prove it.
And I think even if they've played it, I mean, you got to imagine that you've played, that's great from Xaliea to make his way out of that, and when he was certainly in some trouble, but he does escape.
That was hot.
But you've probably played, what, tens of thousands of games of Agni and Poseidon at this point, right? So with Persephone, what, is it dozens, you know? Maybe hundreds, maybe?
There's dozens of them.
I mean, at this point, even if it is something that you've prepped, there's just no way you're as comfortable on it as you would be on some of these other gods that have been around forever.
Realistically, this is a character that you need to lab a la fighting games. You need to sit there and understand the lane dynamic and how it works out. Sanguine looking to defend their own red buff. And Luminosity will just walk on by.
Yeah, that's not for us, they've decided. Instead, they'll take this purple Oracle control as well. So the neutral camps, LG's done a good job of grabbing those here so far, but still nothing spectacular or crazy by any means. They're still very much tied at this point. We're still very, very early on in this match. Lasbra did go back and get the Assassin's Blessing to go along with the Warrior Tabi, which even on the Thanatos I like.
Continue the Persephone conversation. As I said, Luminosity just saying, all right, man, Let's see if you got it, because that is a gamble that you can take. One of the most complicated characters that SMITE has ever seen. Her plants have multiple stages. She's got a dash ability that enables the plants, that powers them, to provide some damage. It's a distance thing. The ultimate is probably the most simplistic thing. Yeah, shoot it forever. But everything else is very complicated, including the way she plays it.
Haddix is in some trouble. Stun land sight there for the easy confirm.
Beautiful.
And blocking the fatal strike. That should end it here for Haddix. Xaliea gets the kill, moving his team up to 3 in total.
Wonderfully played. That's exactly what you want to do. Early game, use that ultimate as an initiator factor. You are fake Thor. And then late game, use that as the execute.
Thor, you kind of hate to hear that one, huh?
Well, once upon a time, he was kind of the perfect anti-Thor when the third ability, when the Berserker Barrage was more of an extended ability and the silence could really cut it down. That was, I mean, he was a perfect anti-Thor. Now, I mean, he's just kind of fake Thor.
Well, Lasbra had a better game, I would say, in game number 2 than game number 1, and then surprise, they win that one. And here in game 3, he's already off to a really good start. 1-0-2 on this Thanatos, and he's been active, set up 2 kills in the middle lane, as well as the one we just saw into Haddix over in right. I mean, we've been saying it all week, they need Lasbra to perform if this LG team is going to look like it's the strong team that we know that they are. And already in game 3, he's stepping up.
Here's the problem, though, John Finch, is that when it comes down to it, there are 2 modes for most players to go into. You got lane phase, and then you got team fight time. And to simplify, think about Loki, right? Loki in the laning phase, he's a god. He shows up, he deletes you, and you break your keyboard. And then team fight time, I mean, okay. And what we've seen is both these junglers, Lasbra and Panitom, have really been able to find these pickoff kills, find a joint here or there, and then the team can go get a gold Fury, it's 5-on-4. And then when it comes down to team fight time, I spent 40 minutes talking about how Panitom couldn't find a flank. And game number 1, I spent 40 minutes talking about Lasbra couldn't. The team fight is where these junglers need to step up. The laning phase is fine. Get your kills, baby. Go ahead. But it won't mean nothing to me until I see it at the team fights.
You're right, man. I mean, these games have been going so long lately that a lot of the times, the first 15, 20 minutes of the game don't have very much impact on what happens elsewhere. And that's just here at Placement. I mean, at the end of Phase 2, the early game was everything. This is an aberration, I feel like, what we've seen. So that could still change. LG could turn it on and run over Sanguine, or Sanguine could run over LG. But Lasbra is already getting aggressive. He's got backup, though, from Joshy. And it looks like they do indeed want to try and find some early kills. Netrioid has already fallen, but Whirlwind of Rage and Steel grabs 2, and Snoopy has fallen in the back.
Sheento in trouble. That's going to be another one for Lasbra as Eonic exits up north. And right away, Lasbra doing what he needs to.
Oh, almost.
Nice play there. But this is kind of what I'm talking about, is that Lasbra's able to make this impact in the early stages, and that's all well and good. But so the adaptation, what I expected to see for game number 1 and game number 2 was I expected to see our junglers move into more team fight oriented picks. Panitom on Susano, the ultimate can wipe a team fight, knock everybody up and make a huge impact. The pull is really impactful. And Lasbra has this execute that works out really well. Stragglers, a lot of times we saw Sanguine on the receiving end, but Luminosity would go too far, Sanguine would chase him out, not have the speed. Lasbra's gonna fix that. Lasbra can do that and take care of that and kill those. But I expected even further, maybe even like the Guardian world. So I'm eager to see both these guys pay more attention to the team fight. It was tougher on the selections they were on earlier, somehow. But with the Thanatos, with the Susano, we'll see if either Lasbra or Panitom can make more of an impact in the late game.
It's Xaliea getting ganked this time in solo. Execute Threshold. And it's Haddix who finds the kill this time with the Fatal Strike. No chance Lasbra was going to be there to help out. But I do think you're kind of, you're hitting on something. This Thanatos is about as far from what I'd want to have at 55 minutes as a jungler as I can think of. Not that he does nothing, but compared to just about everyone else in that assassin class, he's probably near the bottom. So maybe the idea is to not even make it that far this time. They want to try and get someone that can help them close it out a little bit sooner and try and veer in the other direction. I wouldn't be optimistic about that based on how things have gone, but maybe that's the idea.
if that was the idea, I'd like to see the full double down. You know,
Like not a gap.
yeah. Give me the Fenrir support. Give me the Medusa or something mid game here. Where's the honor? You know, stuff like that. For this, I really think, and I will, I will kind of respectfully disagree there in the sense that Lasbra using the execute to hunt down the stragglers in the late game might be what it takes. We kept seeing these 1-for-1s and everybody walk away wounded. Lasbra will stop that. Lasbra will say, "Where you running, idiot?" and then jump on them and get the kill and waterfall them, hopefully. So I think that might have the impact. That's at least where Luminosity's brains are at. Whether it'll work, well, that's a different book altogether.
It's the red buff invaded here for LG. And I'll tell you, if you're going for a long flank or something like that, it might be easier to do it from the sky. So perhaps Lasbra is trying to make some of those same plays, but on a Thanatos that can facilitate a little better. They'll invade both of these camps, the red and purple, so LG starting to get a bit of momentum going around these ganks, around these buff invades, but Sanguine haven't let them get too far out of reach. They've responded nicely so far.
Early brawlers for the Susano. We've seen a lot of the anti-heal, despite there not being a traditional healer across the way out of Sanguine in general, but I love it versus the Thanatos. That's a big part of what allows Thanatos to be this early game monster. When he gets a kill, he heals off of it, continues kind of the chase. He's used by Snoopy in response to Sheento's ultimate. And so by negating a little bit of that healing, you might be able to stop Lasbra off of the inevitable double, triple, etc.
Netrioid also ulted there, so Snoopy didn't have the information about how heavy the commit was, and Lasbra misses the sight. That's an easy way to lose a fight as Panitom shuts him down.
Man, here I come with another annoying F-dotism. Miss your one, you better run. If you don't hit that death scythe, you're garbage. And so, not the player being garbage, I mean your effect in that team fight is garbage. And so Lasbra misses the disc, and because of that, he's going to sit down.
Eonic will be nearby to try and prevent this Gold Fury. Joshy on the way. Blink Cataclysm does hit multiple members in LG. They steal it away. And now Panitom too far forward. What a play from the SPL reps.
It will be, exactly, just a great attention to detail, making sure to hit that objective.
My goodness.
And I mean, really, I say attention to detail, but there was no finesse. There was no tactical approach.
No.
That was me have hammer, me hit nail. And Luminosity swarmed the objective, hit all their buttons like they're Rachmaninoff, and took the objective.
And that's on Sanguine too. I don't know what their confirm was in that spot. It must have been that they just were hoping they'd be able to get it before LG even got into the picture. But at that point, it was so low, you're not even going to be able to fully leash it. They stick to the objective, give themselves a chance to confirm it. It's just not enough as Snoopy very nearly gets the solo kill. Does avoid getting directly hit by that grasp of death though, so he's okay.
Woof. Luminosity have the wards around there, so Sanguine didn't have the vision of that. Great denial there by LG.
He could get pincered here, but LG not looking for the pincer. They're taking a very defensive posture, worried about this level 14 Achilles rotating over, I got to assume.
I love the way Snoopy uses the arcane stance. Not a lot of players tend to show a lot of love to the purple. Really what you see a lot of is the ice and the fire stances, but the purple stance is nice from Snoopy.
Well, let's even go back and take a look at that Gold Fury steal. Eonic gets in there narrowly with the Blink Cataclysm, and that's probably what opens up the window for him to grab the steal. Joshy is nearby too. Cataclysm doesn't quite find the stun. Joshy's airstrike might have been what did it.
Yeah, there it is. The airstrike is because Eonic was still wrapped up in the Shen ultimate. Beautiful play there by LG.
Not bad. Joshy was able to make it in there and get that steal. Tier 1 tower in left did go down while we were enjoying that INAP replay, but didn't end up missing too much. LG have a nice little lead for themselves 15.5 minutes in, but based on what I've seen so far, it ain't nothing Sanguine can't come back from.
Nah, like I said in the post game.
Oh, they're all in here onto Panitom. Blink Cataclysm from Eonic. Typhoon is the response that knocks up both, but Snoopy gets the kill. Lasbra there too if necessary, and one more pick.
LG's going to walk down here mid lane, and again, they've got the wind of their sails. Sanguine does a great job on defense, but as I said in the post game, John, this is one of those things where you've got to be aggressive at some point, and Ronngyu might find the moment here.
Eonic has been hit by the grasp of death, but Snoopy's already burned down. Ronngyu Sheento will fall to Lasbra. That's a ton of damage. They want Haddix as well. Snoopy finds a second, and now Xaliea keeping Netrioid zoned all the way out. That's 4 members that go down in total, and LG keeps everybody up.
Look at Lasbra like attacking the sleepwalking Sheento. It's like, you're already dead. Why are you still alive?
Maybe he's able to get in between the autos and stop the plants from going off. I don't know.
No. That makes sense. Lasbra wasn't.
He is still swinging also.
He was throwing his depth side. I guess he's not going to miss it. I mean, there it is, right?
But this is so different from LG that we've seen these other 2 games, isn't it? I mean, this is early aggression. The second they smell some weakness, they're hopping on, and that's what's been missing. They felt tentative, haven't they, up until now?
Yeah.
Like they really needed to know for sure they were guaranteed to win before they were willing to commit. This time, though, they're taking some 60-40s, some 70-30s, as opposed to the more favored ones, and they've been coming out on top.
You know, it's a big team to put on a production like the SPL and our postseason here, and everybody here watching the games on bated breath with some varying levels of understanding. And some of the people that don't know the game as well were saying, are they playing scared? Is that? Yes, we've seen a lot of careful play, a lot of overly careful play at some points. And so for Luminosity to kind of take the seatbelt off at this moment, that's what you're looking for, because his aggression seems to be taking Sanguine by surprise.
Lasbra might be in trouble. He's missed the scythe, has to ult defensively just to disengage. But if Sanguine keep up the pressure, they might be able to make it here to Lasbra. Panitom's in the jungle, has the blink available, so LG have to keep retreating. Sheento's going to keep up the chase. This still might be a bit of a play from Sanguine, but they finally turn the other way.
Thanatos is so cool.
Go on. No. Huh.
No, I got you.
I hadn't considered a no.
What if I just stop?
Yeah, what if no?
Thanatos, no, I think he does what he does in the early game, right? You go deep and you try to kill him, and if you don't, well, you hit eject.
Yeah, Thanatos ain't tricking you, right? He's not
nope.
Loki. Yeah,
nope. There's no surprise. Oh, is this Thanatos gonna play the early game slow? No, dude, his foot is on the floor so hard it's on the ground past it. I mean, I love it. Lasbra's been doing a decent job, 4-1-4 on the aggressive jungler so far. That's been a part of what's allowed Luminosity to get this 5,000 gold lead at a much earlier time than we've seen it. And he's all in. This Hydra's, the pure damage. Erendite's going to follow up as well, it looks like. You know, this is just a lot of damage. I preach a lot transitioning into the late game by way of CDR and tank stats. Nah, all damage, baby. Lasbra's looking to delete players here, and I think that's the right approach.
Oni Fury has already been pulled quite low. Oni Fury already secured LG, get the credit. Ronngyu, though, wants to make somebody pay. Grasp of Death locks down Xaliea, but in comes the Eonic with the 2-man Cataclysm. Lasbra takes to the sky, and who's the target? It's Ronngyu, of course, gets the execute. Fatal Strike blocked, but Haddix is a kill on the Lasbra anyway to make it a 1-for-1.
See, that's what I mean. That execute is going to come in handy. Ronngyu, very difficult to kill. If you don't got to bring him down to 0, that certainly helps.
Does. 2 schools of thought, right, with some of these tankier gods that can heal up sometimes beyond that threshold. Eonic gets caught. What a read they had on his positioning, and they will be able to punish the rock here as well. Nice job by Sanguine to be able to hunt down Eonic, and I think Sanguine want this tier 2 tower if they can get it, but LG are here to play defense, but Panitom's wrapping around. It has the ultimate.
He's gonna look for it. Double pull there. Snoopy uses the Aegis, the beads, but it's all not enough. Haddix takes the kill off the assist of the jungler.
And this is why LG have been playing so patiently this entire set as Netrioid does fall in trade. It's because Sanguine are a capable team and they make plays like that all the time. They had the read on where Eonic was, looping around behind the tier 2 tower to grab the squishies. Sanguine are absolutely not rolling over.
No way, no how. Sanguine are just not a team that's going to make this easy for you.
No, man.
And as I've kind of been saying, they're a defensive-oriented team, and that in and of itself won't win the game. Damn, is it going to make it difficult for you?
Oh, Joshy kind of gives Panitom the business there over by the blue buff. A bit surprised And Joshy commits the beads there with the Typhoon. I mean, they're on the other side of the map, doesn't know where the backup is, so he plays it safer rather than sorry. And now LG start up the Fire Giant. Sheento and Ronngyu on the way. They have an idea this could be happening. Fire Giant at half, so this will not be free. The Grasp of Death comes through as well. It's going to be a lot from Sang if they want to strip this one away. So LG take to the sky. It's Lasbra looking for the ultimate. Can't find that, but does get the Scythe. Fire Giant low, but they're not ready for the confirm. Ronngyu comes in. Anyone could grab his objective. Sanguine strips it away from LG.
Joshy's gonna start the party though, and Haddix answers back. Sheento very low, and Snoopy's able to pick him up. Right side, Haddix goes down. Another one for Joshy. Beautiful. The steal from Sanguine, but the deal from Luminosity.
LG may have lost that Fire Giant, but you can barely tell by looking at these player icons. It's only left remaining on Netrioid. Now, obviously, Sanguine still do a ton of work by not letting them get the FG, but a 4-for-1 is huge. They should be able to still make some plays.
Absolutely. This tier 2 tower is paid in full by the team fight they just had.
Wonder what that's like.
Straight up Sanguine, the minor good part of that team fight was when Netrioid turned out the lights. That stopped Lasbra from getting the dunks that he wanted to, and that honestly was what kept it from being a complete team wipe. Also the fact that Netrioid wasn't there. But the ultimate was really clean, and again, just finding a silver lining because that was up and down Luminosity's team fight.
Otherwise, LG heavily favored. I wonder if they'll continue to press even without the Fire Giant buff, or if they'll slow down at this point, because it's such a facilitator for you when you're trying to burn through these structures. It needs sustain on those long pushes. Joshy, level 20, and very nearly full slotted already, 7-0-4. Maybe you want this Joshy Jing way active from right away.
Maybe. I mean, Joshy has been lights out. He's been a big part of last game. He was a big part of this game. I mean, just this is what you need out of your carry. I've been talking about carry 1, carry 2. Your long lane carry is the guy that needs to provide these points. Josh is doing it. 7 kills.
This is just a tier 1. I'm surprised Sanguine are showing any defense here, but the game is still close enough. They don't want to give up anything for free. Lasbra has to ult defensively, and Sanguine proved me better. The tier 1 tower defense works. They might even be able to get some punish.
Yeah, here comes the ultimate of Ronngyu. It's not enough there. Panitom, though, behind enemy lines, could be in trouble, but won't get punished. Luminosity, full retreat.
Boy, Shell sure is nice, man. But LG wish they had that last game. It was all blinks and beads from them into that composition from Sang with all that control. But this time, they get a little bit of extra help. And I'm starting to wonder about this Whirlwind of Rage and Steel Grasp of Death combo, because we've seen it multiple times where the person that Ronngyu has doesn't even get thrown because they're locked down by the Grasp of Death. I don't know if they're applying these ultimates as efficiently as they could be.
Yeah, in one way, it's kind of a double down. Make sure you get them. In another way, it's a,
right, it guarantees the Grasp of Death, but isn't the value from Whirlwind of Rage and Steel that you move out of position and the displacement? It's hard to say.
Yeah, the overlap is interesting, and I don't mean that as a euphemism this time. I think it could go either way.
Depends on who they're trying to lock down. This next Primal Fury appears to be the fight here from LG. Snoopy, though, has already taken a ton of damage. Panitom takes it upon himself to get to the back line. Snoopy has to use Aegis just to live, and he is out of this one. So Sanguine now favored to grab the objective.
Big difference between game 1, 2, and 3. Panitom has been much more effective on the flank. Check out Lasbra coming from the bottom.
Eonic goes in for the Cataclysm, but Lasbra still biding his time at this point. He's got to get in there. Now he's picked his moment. Scythe takes down Ronngyu. Xaliea avoids the execute. That's huge. Would love a stun, but Lasbra off the mark, and that could spell the end from him. Panitom shuts him down with the Typhoon.
You can't miss that at this level of play. They're all grouped up. Lasbra has to land that, and because he doesn't, Sanguine are able to walk away easy peasy, 1 for 1. Oof. What
and it's
could have
support
been?
for jungle, right? That's a good trade for Sanguine.
The Gold Fury is under control here by Luminosity Gaming, Finch, but Haddix is going to sneak up and try to stop it.
Josh has to use airstrike defensively, though. He's so low. He's worried that he'll become the target. Panitom's got to be in the back of these guys' minds like a free safety with a pass down the middle of the field. This fight of the Primal Fury has been going for a couple minutes now, and Sanguine might have finally whittled down LG enough to be able to grab this objective. It's low,
Panitom.
but LG are still here.
Panitom is here. Magi's Cloak pulls in Eonic, follow up by Haddix, looking for the execute. Damage is there, and Sanguine are doing the Primal Fury. That is drawn up and executed. No pun intended there. But oh my goodness, that was cleanliness.
About as clean as you could ask for there from Sanguine. It was LG really that were initially considering pulling the objective because they had the lead going in there, but Sanguine respond quite nicely, and I got to give a ton of credit to Panitom.
Panitom's difference has been so incredibly obvious. I harped game number 2. I harped on the fact that our junglers weren't finding the flanks. So Panitom finds a character that's a Jetstream, can really avoid a lot of nonsense. You find a half flank and then pull somebody in, but 2 things are different as well. The Magi's Cloak is allowing him to get out of trouble a lot, and he always, right now he just expended it, Panitom has carried a clear ward everywhere, and that sentry ward allows him to fight. He's looking for the flanks, drops the sentry ward, oh, there's a ward, and now he has that passageway. It's been really effective.
Sanguine the ones considering starting up the FG, but Panitom has been tracked down by Lasbra. That's huge to basically take him out of this fight, and I don't think that Sanguine can stay on the FG now. So Cataclysm comes out from Eonic. Lasbra on the long flank as Haddix has been grabbed. This ultimate makes it hard for Lasbra to figure out where he's going, and now Ronngyu has caught him out, and he's throwing him to the wolves. Gobble up, and the Lasbra flank fails again.
Lasbra real mad about that, and he should be.
Yeah.
That's a rough mistake. I am begging for the flank. So that is what sort of needs to be doing.
He needs something else, man.
But he got caught on 2 separate wards. As soon as the lights go out, you hit your ultimate and you leave, because that's a call that your teammates need to be saying. Why is the Shibalake ultimate going out? And when you are that far behind enemy lines, when you are making the lurk from long A, you got to know, oh, they're coming for me, no doubt, and just eject. That was rough. That said, Lasbra has had a good early game, a rough mid game, and he is emotive, he is animated. We'll see how the end game goes for him.
Sanguine still down about 5k gold, are the ones starting the Fire Giant. You gotta love that they're trying to be active. Fire Giant down to half HP as they pull in Xaliea here first. Geb Shield comes out to keep him healthy. And this is that time when Eonic feels really good to have on this Geb. And he blinks in for the Cataclysm. That gets beads out from Sheento. But immediately Panitom responds to the Typhoon to lock down Xaliea. Grasp of Death there as well, but he makes his way out.
I want to see Sanguine start this Fire Giant and go for it if they can find a pick, because this is the opportunity. At 30 minutes, it's going to enhance, it's going to level up, and it'll be that much more difficult for the Latin Americans to really find it. And with Luminosity taking over this positioning, I think the dream of the Fire Giant is over for Sanguine.
And certainly at this point, Sheento's going to be so careful without those purification beads in their next battle. He still has the Aegis, and Netrioid still has full relics available to him. So they can certainly be around for the defense. But 29 minutes in, it looks like LG are ready to fully back off. So are Sanguine. That's going to be it for this Fire Giant fight.
Realistically, Sanguine very much in this. Obviously behind a little bit of gold, but I think that they can totally figure all that out. I need to see them look a little bit more attentive on the upfront. But what I have loved is that they're very attentive to their back line. They have always caught Lasbra on this flank. Panitom has really found flanks of his own, and all of those are well and good, but they are still playing Luminosity's game. Sanguine are kind of playing better SMITE than Luminosity are here, but they're still what I could consider overcautious, which is why you didn't ask me. You just kind of, you said it of yourself. You gotta love that they're being aggressive, and I do. I agree. That's what they need to be doing more of. Sanguine need to grab the wheel. They need to be aggressive. They need to be the ones dictating this game.
Perhaps another Tier 1 tower siege on the menu for LG as they're grouped up. Still no beats for Sheento for another 40 seconds. That might be why there's some aggression coming out here from LG. But they don't feel like pulling the trigger just yet. They have the blink and the shell there from Eonic. They got a lot of the tools they need to make a fight work, but let Lasbra get into position first.
Mid lane tower. Lasbra looking for the flank.
Good
Sheento,
ward.
no idea.
That's a great
There's
ward.
Yep, there's beautiful.
And that's why Haddix is coming over. They're going to stop Lasbra lurking around, and this is why I'm starting to get worried about the Lasbra flank. I know it can be powerful, but teams are not going to keep getting okey-doked by this. There's got to be another page, to go back to my old analogy.
I mean, the page is the ultimate. You can fly above the battlefield.
Sure. Well, it's Sanguine now that have pushed up beyond the Fire Giant line. LG were considering a Tier 1 tower dive a moment ago. Now they are full on back by their own Tier 2.
If this happened 4 minutes ago, Sanguine gets the Fire Giant. But because it's now enhanced past that 30-minute mark, and it's not about the lead or whatnot, EFG is just that much more difficult to kill.
It's really tough to fight, but I love Sanguine having these fights. We'll talk about it later as Blink Cataclysm nearly shuts down Haddix, but he makes his way out of there. Joshy still chasing the kill, knowing that he's an execute threshold. They want to punish as the execute comes through from Lasbra.
Panitom backs. He must have been on a ward. Luminosity took that and ran with it. As soon as they saw the jungler wasn't local, they got aggressive 5-on-4.
And they're now heavily favored. They don't really have a ton of ultimates at their disposal. You don't quite count Merlin and King Arthur's the same way you do for everyone else, as Sheento has to fall all the way back, but they don't have that many ultimates either. It's just Panitom's Typhoon that's available.
Luminosity still have positioning, and again, even they can't get the Fire Giant by itself, but Lasbra's going to go all the way in, Xaliea on the back end, and Panitom eats it.
He blows up right away, Ronngyu low, and he has to relieve. He has to fall back instantly. That was even with the Frenzy popped on the side of the Order team.
Fire Giant.
LG are not that healthy, though. That's why it's so tough for them to make this call.
I want them to, they have enough space here. Haddix and Panitom down. Sheento's long-range ultimate is a threat, but Eonic can be here to play for it, 25%.
This is still risky, though. Eonic being chunked by Netrioid, so Xaliea moves in to get the beads, but Lasbra gobbles up Sheento. Gonna send your carries in by themselves. They're gonna get got. Lasbra takes to the sky as well with the execute, but they've leashed the Fire Giant entirely. I'm so surprised.
Now they're almost too low, still at 33%.
This is risky.
They're going to rush it down, but I'm with you there.
Fire Giant low, but Luminosity do manage to secure it. Meanwhile, Xaliea has Netrioid in the back line, but that's 2 kills for LG. Ronngyu gets Joshy, and Snoopy falls as well. Suddenly, the carries have to pay. And I don't think Rongyu's done yet. They've got Lasbra and Execute Threshold, locking him down underneath the Tier 1, and Latin America find 3 to answer back.
20-13, and Luminosity now on the retreat here. Sanguine punish that Fire Giant. Xaliea and Eonic, the only ones with it. Netrioid going to grab the Tier 2 tower, and they're pushing.
They're right outside this Phoenix. It's just Xaliea and Eonic, the front line to try and defend up against all this control from Team Sanguine. Xaliea doing all that he can do, but it's got to be Netrioid, Blink Cataclysm, and the ultimate out. They're pushing Sanguine back. In fact, they found the kill. Haddix can't handle it underneath the Phoenix.
Asi just kicked in, yo. He's going to be feeling that lifesteal. Eonic in trouble. Panitom with the kill.
But Xaliea goes right to the damage dealer, almost gets the kill on the Netrioid. He has to go heal up, but Panitom can do plenty of Phoenix damage of his own. The first bird of the game goes down in favor of Sanguine.
Beautiful play there by Sanguine. Ooh!
Close.
That dash, baby.
And there's the blink that had to come out here to keep Sanguine on the run. Xalia's really stepped up for him here in this game. 2-1-12 on the King Arthur at 29,000 player damage. He's playing well, and LG gonna try and make a push of their own.
Man, Panitom gets this face when he's like squeezing out these plays. He looks like Secret Neighbor. I love it. He gets this real like furrowed brow.
Yeah.
And oh, I love it. Everything is on the line for these Sanguine boys, and they are still playing defensively. They are still behind the 8 ball. They were able to get it the last time, and the momentum, despite LG grabbing this Tier 2, I feel like the momentum is behind Sanguine.
I think so too, man. I don't know so much about the defensive, the aggressive play around the Fire Giant steal. They find 2 kills. They make the push into 2 to get the mid Phoenix, even though it cost them a bit. Sanguine are trying when they can. As the Fury goes down in favor of LG, this game feels very, very close still at this point.
Man, this is an old friend would call this a barn burner, folks. Sanguine, they're the ones with the torches.
Was that Adonis's line? Is that who that was? No, it was Brandon's, wasn't it?
There you go.
That's not Tiltia, is it? Tier 2 tower and left comes down.
No, it was
Kelly.
Squiddish. That's who it
Squish,
was.
that's who it was. Tiger, maybe? I feel like she would have said that.
I was no, man. I have Tiger's line that I really love is Band-Aid over a bullet wound.
Yeah.
That is, she will forever live on in SMITE as I steal her line, usually in reference to the consolation prize that is the Pyromancer.
Yeah, like a quick fix that doesn't quite, do it.
Pyromancer.
Oftentimes the consolation prize, certainly. As this late here into the game, 36 minutes, this late into the day, it is 11 p.m. local time here in Georgia, and these players have got to be digging deep to find a little bit extra to try and grab this win here. It's not going to be easy for either one of these teams, but everyone's still giving us every last bit they've got.
Ronngyu starting things out on the right-hand side. Ultimately, just a dance. Fire Giant respawning in a minute. Teams seem to want to fight around it. Eonic going to start the party. Big ultimate. Netrioid down to half. And Lasbra down to 0. Big plays out of the jungler.
Panitom wins the fight there against Lasbra. That's huge. And Snoopy wasn't quite in range to follow up off Eonic's Blink Cataclysm. This could be disaster now for LG. In comes Panitom. They're looking for Xaliea. Pulls him right back into the Typhoon. But he responds, going up and over the Grasp of Death. Haddix just barely makes it back out of the tier 2. But LG not ready to buckle after Sanguine's pressure.
LG are looking for the chase, but they got to be careful. Haddix very low, but Luminosity's ability to turn and burn would have been very high. So Sanguine, safe and sound, come back to base. Full reset here from everybody involved.
A full reset indeed. I wonder if LG were on the same page in that last fight. It felt like Eonic was there a little bit ahead of everyone else. Lasbra was entangled in his own 1v1 fight up there against Panitom, and the carries weren't quite in line to follow back up. Sanguine do a great job capitalizing with that kill from Panitom, but they couldn't push any further beyond. LG just barely held on underneath that tier 2 to be able to keep this game in line.
Lasbra did a great job in the early game. Fortunately, he's wearing the Thanatos badge of not necessarily honor. His late game has been dark. And that is, like I said, kind of what you expect out of a Thanatos, but I think we could see more. Halfway done with the EFG already. Xalia's here, dancing on the fire for what it's worth. 10%, they're going to commit.
And the Fire Giants incredibly low. Sanguine are able to grab the objective, but Sheento gets the kill on the Xaliea. This started to look like a bad fight now for LG. Typhoon charged up, knocks up Eonic way in the back as well, and Snoopy ends up falling. Joshy low as well, has to airstrike defensively, but I don't know if that's the direction he wants. Lasbra wants to kill on Haddix, but he can't find that at all. It's just Eonic and Joshy left, and they're so low. Sanguine have a chance to put this all to bed and take care of LG.
That was incredible. Lasbra came around, and the mad Haddix figured it out. He dashed back, he punched forward. Sanguine, 5 members strong. They're barking at the mid lane Phoenix.
And it's low here. This one should fall easily. Eonic and Joshy, the only 2 left to keep LG's hopes of making it to Worlds alive. Remember, this team's in the SPL. Sanguine's watching from below as they take the Titan down to half. Sheento gets rid of Eonic. That's it. Vamos Sanguine. They take the game.
Hasta luego, LG. Fantastic job. The Latin American team, blood, sweat, tears. They have taken down the members of the SMITE Pro League. There is still more SMITE to be played before they notch their ticket to the World Championship, but damn if this wasn't impressive.
Man, you got to feel for the LG boys. They could not quite pull it out here up against Sanguine here today. But let me just tell you, man, this guarantees now that an SML team is going to be joining us as part of the SMITE World Championship. It's Simplicity that's going to be awaiting Sanguine now here at this point. They'll be battling it out to head back up there, up against SK for that grand finals matchup for seeding. But this is so impressive from Sanguine, man. They don't even have their mainline solo laner here in hardcore.
I mean, that's what's really incredible. A lot of preparation. These guys around the scene, people, you know, they play ranked. They've scrimmed against the other teams here at the high level, and everybody's been talking about like how seriously these guys take this game. Representing Peru, Chile, Guatemala, Uruguay, these guys are representing much more than the 5 players on that field, and what they've done today is the result of hard work, hard effort, and like I said, goddamn, I'm impressed.
You gotta tell them, and you can tell easily by watching these guys or talking with them, that these are guys that are playing this game with passion, and that's what's coming out here from them. I mean, a 4.5 icing where they had to wait on their set to start, and then powering through that to be able to take down a really, really strong LG team. It's just impressive. But Tom and I could probably keep talking about this all night. Let me get it back over to Aggro on the desk, and they'll close things out.
Well, we're nearing midnight on the actual clock, but the midnight has not struck for the Cinderella story that is Sanguine. With a sub, they eliminate LG from competition and move on with a chance. 1 set away from making it to the World Championships. Unbelievable. Aggro, joined by Kabam on the desk. I mean, that game was... LG was off to such a good start.
Yep.
The Thanatos is doing what you needed to do. They transition it well. They get a couple fires, but... it just felt like these 5-on-5 stalemates, LG struggled so much in those.
Yeah, it was really strange. I think Lasbra went above and beyond the Call of Duty for the first 20 minutes. He was really executing well. He got early kills. He was really controlling the map. I think they did everything they needed to do to stop the Persephone from being effective in the early game, which I feel like if she gets set up early, it's really hard to deal with her. So I felt like they were in a really good winning position. But like you said, once it got to the 5v5s, I feel like generally what would happen is not all of LG was there at once, and one of them would die too fast.
Yeah, a lot of split fights, and credit to Sanguine for finding those members and forcing those. This was a huge play 13 minutes in where Joshy's able to steal this away. Awesome, good setup by Eonic. A perfectly timed airstrike to give himself CC immunity and the damage on the way in. It really felt like LG had all the cards in their favor, but Snoopy on this Merlin just wasn't able to match that effectiveness because he has to stay so much closer than he would have on the Kukulkan.
Yeah, exactly. That Persephone ult is always a threat. It always gets actives, and then you have a Jing 10 who can capitalize off of that. You've got a Susanna who, if you don't have your beads, you're going to get yoinked around. There's just a lot of opportunities, and Persephone ult opens up those options.
This Fire Giant steal potentially wins the game for Sanguine because this is where everything was going well. LG just danced around that fire for so long, and it looks like that's either a tick of Rongyu's ultimate or the last hit of Bone Rush there that gets it done. But that steal was huge. I mean, it's so impressive by Sanguine. It felt like the objective calls just weren't cohesive at all. Another Fire Giant. This one, again, odd. Even though LG get it, both their carries are insta-dead to that fire. I mean, that's a tough one to take.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sanguine played really well. They capitalized. They didn't panic when they were in a deficit, and they found their win. So all the credit to them. But
how about Haddix, man? I mean, what a game for him. He popped off. He had a sick play that we saw in the replay of where he body blocks the Geb rollout to set up for a kill when Eonic's running away. This kill from Panitom was absolutely massive. Late game Susano, by the way, just does it to the Thanatos. And this team has had so much passion from the first set they won. You could really feel it in the whole building as they were getting close to winning this one. They punched their ticket to the final day here at Placements. Fitting almost that it's the 2 minor league teams in Sanguine and Simplicity that make it there. I mean, a bit of a heartbreaker in my mind for Luminosity. I mean, that game felt like they had it under wraps.
Yeah, I do feel like that this is probably the best set that Luminosity has played. Sanguine played very well into them. They held on. I mean, if Luminosity was going to come out of the set, they were going to probably be on like a tear, you know. So yeah. I think for Sanguine to stand up to that and to come through with a W, and like we said with the sub, Haddix nonetheless, I think that's wildly impressive.
The fact that he kills Lasbra, if Lasbra gets that kill, he gets a bunch of heal, gets a big heal because he's Thanatos.
Yeah.
I don't know if they end. Haddix goes big, man, and what an incredible story for Sanguine. This is everything that this team has been working for basically all year long. Excited to see it come to fruition. Don't have to hear from us very much longer. In fact, let's throw it over so the Sanguine members talk about their insane win over LG.
I am indeed here with Sanguine after their big win. The first thing I got to say to you all, just congratulations, you guys. I know how hard you must have worked on this win. You got to put up with Graham Handyman Hadfield for some reason. I got to ask you here first, Haddix. I mean, man, you're coming into this team, as the sub. It's such a tough spot. There's such high expectations for him. How did you come in and be able to fill in this role for him and help them get this far?
Well, I mean, I feel like I mesh pretty well with the team. I've always liked them. I mean, they're just good guys, and I feel like I've had a decent amount of competitive experience. It's just a little bit different getting used to LAN.
You guys have, throughout that last set, played very defensively, rarely finding yourselves with the lead. I'll ask you this, is that a playstyle choice, or is it just hard to get the lead against LG?
I mean, we realized that LG's teamfight were kind of sloppy, so we said, okay, we just have to chill. And also, they had a Thanatos like third game, so we were like, okay, Thanatos is gonna do nothing late game. Just chill and group our team fights. Don't let them get fired for free, and we should be good.
You all were able to do exactly that in that set. What about the long break that you had? Because, I mean, that game 3, that set went forever, right? Like 4.5 hours, and you all were just sitting around waiting, talking with LG. How did you guys stay focused and fight through that? Because it'd be hard to come in warm in that set when you've been sitting around all that time.
Well, I just remember our teammates falling asleep. We all waited a long time. We were begging for them to end the game. Then we saw it go. I went to the bathroom, saw that they went to game 5. Saw fails, and he told me they won, and it kind of made me sad. We all drank monsters though, and I think that's why we won.
Is there a logo on your jersey? Just checking. I don't think we've broached this topic yet, Haddix, but you have been the substitute here, and like we said, Uruguay, Spanish-speaking team. Has the language barrier impacted the gameplay at all?
I don't think so. I mean, it probably impacts them more than me because they have to switch speaking English. They have to call both. Usually, because some people aren't too good with English, but usually it works out, and it's really just us screaming God names.
Basically, just you all screaming God names. Well, congratulations again, Sanguine. As much as I'd love to talk to you all night, we've been here, I think, long enough. So enjoy the win. Make sure you're all ready for your match. That's almost
for sure.
12 hours away here at this point. And good luck in that one. I'll get it back over to the desk.
This is your bracket. SK Gaming has already punched their ticket to the SMITE World Championships. They await the winner of Simplicity and Sanguine, which is going to be our first set tomorrow, starting right at 11 a.m. A best of 5 to determine which SMITE minor league team ends up going to the World Championship. That's what all the fun is about here at Placement Week, man, is moments just like this, when the minor league teams are able to put on a show, and both Simplicity and Sanguine have done just that. SK Gaming ends up being the only SPL team that makes it out of Placement Week and into the World Championship. Unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable, all you fans still watching, 11 p.m. Our broadcast started exactly 12 hours and 15 minutes ago. So thank you so much for sticking with it. I know that it was a long day for all of us here at the production studio, but no better time of year for it, man. HRX Placements, it's the best time of year for sure. Hopefully, you'll be right back with us less than 12 hours from now, starting at 11 a.m. tomorrow for the best of 5 between the two minor league teams. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Peach it.